Chapter 49:26. Of course, it was useless to think too much. Right now, it was better to defeat the enemy in front of him first. Unable to fuse, Ling Xiao was actually at a clear disadvantage. But this was also good. Only under this kind of battle could his strength break through again. To him, battle was a challenge. But at the same time, it was also a form of training. Every time he defeated an enemy, he would have some gains. This time, of course, he could not waste it. His right hand gripped the Void God sword tightly. His left hand was wearing the hand of eternal life. Ling Xiao began to circulate his divine essence, aiming at that Yama. In this state, killing the strongest Yama was still no problem. Therefore, he had to deal with this guy, and then fight Yang Fan one-on-one. This way, his chances would also be greater. Yang Fan, I'll kill you first, so that you won't always escape. Ling Xiao's Void God sword was aimed at Yang Fan, lightly stepping on the ground. His body suddenly broke through the air. The biting cold wind sounded in Yang Fan's ears. He discovered that a few of his hair had been cut off by that terrifying sword intent. Facing such a Ling Xiao, how could he dare to underestimate him? He was fully prepared for battle, and that Yama had already moved to the side, preparing to take advantage of Ling Xiao and Yang Fan's battle to suddenly attack and kill Ling Xiao. Do it! Yang Fan blocked Ling Xiao's attack. The Void God sword was blocked by the weapon in his hand, unable to continue forward. At this time, Ling Xiao also stopped. Yang Fan roared. Yama finally attacked, grabbing fiercely at Ling Xiao's head from the side. In that instant, Yang Fan clearly felt that something was wrong. He originally thought that it was an illusion, but when he looked up Ling Xiao, this guy was actually laughing. What are you laughing at? Yang Fan was puzzled. Ling Xiao naturally could not answer. No, don't come over, his target is you. Yang Fan was not an idiot. Although he was a little slow, he still quickly thought of Ling Xiao's strategy. It was the simplest way to create a diversion. On the surface, it was to attack him, but in reality, it was to attract that Yama to attack. In that case, Yama wouldn't be able to escape. What's there to be afraid of? Do you think he can kill me instantly? After all, King Yanluo was the #1 King Yanluo of Hell, the former #1 expert under Lotus Flower. Although his strength wasn't that great now, but he was not afraid of Ling Xiao. Moreover, it was impossible for him to stop even if he wanted to. With his speed, if he were to stop now, he would instead expose all of his weaknesses to Ling Xiao. They could only wait for death. Therefore, his only choice was to continue attacking. Good timing. A ruthless killing intent flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. Qin Yi immediately unleashed his void-shattering finger. Void creation against himself and the first king, Yanluo. Seeing the two of them disappear from his sight, Yang Fan could do nothing about it. The next moment, a shriveled corpse was thrown out. Ling Xiao also stepped out of the void. Now that the hindrance has been taken care of, let's fight one-on-one. Ling Xiao smiled. After absorbing the first king, Yanluo, the god-defying Taotia's strength continued to increase. Now, it had reached the advanced 6th level of the divine physique echelon. You're really confident. Since that's the case, then so be it. Yang Fan knew that this battle was inevitable, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, after thinking about it, how could Ling Xiao be his opponent without the help of the fused physique? Therefore, not only was he not afraid, but he was also very confident. Within those eyes, a cold black light flashed and a pitch-black flame burned. It was very strange. This guy dared to betray the Yellow Emperor Bai and was still safe and sound. Naturally, he was really capable. Without the fused physique, it would be really difficult for Ling Xiao to kill him. The beast god physique is indeed terrifying, and your martial arts are also very exquisite. Being able to kill the first king, Yanluo, alone has shown your strength. However, without the fused physique, you are not qualified to fight with me at all. This time, you have seriously miscalculated. Looking at Ling Xiao, Yang Fan sneered. His voice was full of strong confidence and arrogance. He had turned around and fled when he saw Ling Xiao 3 times in a row, which was also a blow to his self-esteem. But it didn't matter now. He wanted to regain his lost dignity, his lost confidence. He wanted to completely kill Ling Xiao. Haha, you undead are very arrogant and have a powerful mouth. But I hope that your strength is as powerful as your mouth. Don't waste my expectations. Ling Xiao sneered. On the Void God's sword, the terrifying sword intent condensed again. It became stronger than before. In Yang Fan's eyes, Ling Xiao's sword seemed to have merged with his body. In front of him was a sword, a divine sword that seemed to be able to tear him apart at any time. Your momentum is not bad, but is it a bluff, or do you really have such strength? Kill. Yang Fan didn't talk nonsense, and in an instant he had already arrived in front of Ling Xiao. He directly punched out with both fists. His fists were surrounded by black flames. On his fingers there was a ring engraved with flames. At first glance, one could tell that it was an Emperor artifact with 9 dragon patterns. Void God Art 5-word style. Ling Xiao didn't dare to hold back. At this moment, his strength was inferior to his opponent, so he had to go all out to have a chance of defeating his opponent. The sharp light that contained the terrifying sword intent pierced through the air. It turned into 5 terrifying sword lights. Boom! A terrifying collision sound was heard. Sword chi and wind were everywhere. Ling Xiao frowned slightly, and his body was directly sent flying. He hit the edge of the martial soul barrier. As expected, I'm still stronger. Although your beast god body is powerful, it was also easily defeated by me. Who is the one with a strong mouth but weak strength? You can't even block one of my attacks and you want to kill me? Don't you think it's funny? After defeating Ling Xiao with one attack, Yang Fan became even more arrogant and conceited. Are you very proud? At the end of the day, you're in the 7th level of the Divine Physique Echelon, and I'm in the 3rd level of the Divine Physique Echelon. However, I'm inferior to you in a head-on battle. What's so strange about that? It's a pity that a battle isn't a head-on battle, but a battle with brains. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, I'm going to be serious now. Be careful. To Ling Xiao, a battle was definitely not a stupid head-on clash. Otherwise, why would a martial artist learn movement techniques and martial techniques? It was to use various techniques in a battle, especially when facing an opponent who was stronger than oneself. One should pay more attention to the application of techniques. Otherwise, it would be too stupid. Come at me if you can. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Yang Fan arrogantly hooked his finger at Ling Xiao, looking completely disdainful. Ling Xiao's figure suddenly disappeared from the martial soul barrier. At that moment, Yang Fan tensed up, his muscles tightened, and his soul also reached a state of high tension. Void shattering finger, transcend the void. In the next moment, a voice came from the void. Yang Fan heard the voice, and when he was about to dodge, a finger force had already pierced his forehead. It burned a deep, bloody scar there. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 49-27. Although the first level of the Void Shattering Finger was weaker than the last 2 levels, it was still faster than the first level. It was faster than the first level. It could be said that the enemy had already been hit when the attack was launched. Even Yang Fan, who was in the early 7th level of the Divine Physique Echelon, couldn't withstand it. Haha, what about now? You said you defeated me with 1 move, and I admit it. But now, I've injured you with 1 move, and I'm completely unharmed. What do you say? Ling Xiao looked at Yang Fan mockingly. When facing such an opponent, the first thing to do was to make him lose his composure. Make him unable to think calmly. Otherwise, there would be a lot of trouble. Yang Fan touched the wound on his forehead. It hurts. It hurts so much. Although the injury wasn't serious, it embarrassed him. I admit that your beast god body is qualified to fight with me, but that's all. You can't use such a move continuously, right? Also, it can't hurt my foundation. The real battle has just begun. I'll make you realize the huge gap between you and me." As he spoke, Yang Fan rubbed his hands as if he was rolling balls. A spiral-shaped flame spun between his hands, as if it was a turntable made of flames. The black flame was filled with the aura of death that could destroy everything. It was cold and murderous. Boom! Yang Fan clapped his hands together. The turntable-like flame instantly turned into 13 hideous skulls. Every single one of them was extremely ferocious and was completely formed by black flames. It was filled with the aura of death. Bone Devil Black Flame. The martial artists outside the martial spirit barrier could feel the terrifying aura of the flame, especially the few Yama kings who were familiar with Yang Fan. They were really surprised. They didn't expect Yang Fan to use the Bone Devil Black Flame to deal with Ling Xiao. It could be seen that he was serious about this. However, was Ling Xiao really that powerful? Interesting power, but you can't defeat me with this, Ling Xiao said coldly, and activated the Sun God's blood formation. He used the second level of the bloody rat demon. The beast god power turned blood red. His combat power increased tenfold. In the state of the beast god body, a tenfold increase in combat power was not a small number. At the same time, Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye was operating at full speed. He could clearly sense the destructive aura contained within the 13 black flame skeletons. But he was fearless. The void god's sword in his hand emitted the ferocious roar of a Tao Tai. The aura of a divine beast was released and collided with the destructive aura. Outside the martial spirit barrier, a fierce battle was going on. People could clearly feel the destructive and domineering aura coming from the martial spirit barrier. Interesting, you actually have such a trick up your sleeve. However, this should be your last resort, right? In this state, you barely qualified to take a few of my moves, but it was still very boring. You, who don't have a fused body, are really uninteresting. Although Yang Fan had been injured before, it was only a very light injury. After using the Bone Devil Black Flame, he seemed to be even more arrogant. You really think too highly of yourself. Ling Xiao mocked. Even now, do you still think that I'm only qualified to take a few moves from you? What a laughable frog in a well. Humph, who's the frog in the well? You'll soon know who's the frog in the well. I'll kill you with this move. Yang Fan snorted and spoke in a cold and murderous voice. Bone Devil Black Flame, Nirvana Flame. As his voice rang out, the black flames on his body transformed into sinister skulls that flew toward Ling Xiao. Each one was filled with a terrifying aura of destruction. They wanted to completely annihilate the space Ling Xiao was in. Shards of ice appeared around the skulls because of the eerie coldness. Ling Xiao gripped the Void God sword tightly in his right hand. He clenched his left fist. In order to contend against Yang Fan, he had to take full advantage of his advantages. Demonic Ox Fist. He punched out with his left hand first. A huge fist smashed into the space in front of him. The black skulls shattered one after another. They were reduced to nothingness. In the next moment, Ling Xiao's right hand attacked as well. Using the Void God art, the 5 sword flashes merged into one and stabbed toward Yang Fan's body. Yang Fan frowned. The 13 skulls behind him unleashed terrifying flames, forming a tight defense around Yang Fan. The terrifying flames blocked all external forces from entering. Even the air was burned to ashes by the terrifying flames. When the Void God art descended, the 13 skulls condensed into a huge skull. It blocked Ling Xiao's Void God art. Don't waste your energy. With your strength, your sword can't break through my defense. Yang Fan looked at Ling Xiao and sneered. Everything is within my expectations. You're probably at your wit's end now, aren't you? Why don't you give up and face death calmly? Perhaps I'll give you a chance to die peacefully. Ling Xiao's eyes shone with unswerving determination. It had to be said that Yang Fan's defense was truly terrifying. The Void God's sword was blocked by the huge skull, and he couldn't draw any energy from the skull. It seemed that Lotus Flower had already told Yang Fan about the Void God's sword's effects, and Yang Fan had made some preparations. Ling Xiao was indeed in trouble today, but he didn't panic at all. His expression was still calm, and his cold eyes were still emitting a cold aura. His lips curled into a cold smile. Can I break through your defense? I don't think there's such a thing in this world. Otherwise, what's the point of having a miracle? As soon as his cold voice fell, a pitch-black universe suddenly appeared behind Ling Xiao. He finally released the sky Tyrant martial soul. In that instant, the Void God's sword aura surged. The powerful aura instantly suppressed Yang Fan. What? Yang Fan looked in shock at this strange martial soul he had never seen before, and a trace of fear appeared on his face. He finally started to panic. Crack! In the next moment, there was a crisp sound. A huge crack appeared on the huge black skull, and Yang Fan's expression changed. Break for me! Ling Xiao roared, and the Void God's sword wrapped in the terrifying power of the sky Tyrant martial soul. It instantly pierced through the huge black skull, and then it stabbed towards Yang Fan. There was nothing that could stop it. Yang Fan's heart trembled as he frantically retreated, his expression extremely ugly. Just a moment ago, he was still arrogant, thinking that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to break through his defense. But now, the defense that he thought was invincible shattered. It was pierced through by Ling Xiao's sword. Facing this lightning-fast sword, Yang Fan realized that he couldn't dodge at all. The only thing he could do was retreat as he frantically gathered his divine essence. The black flames turned into small skulls that constantly smashed towards Ling Xiao, trying to block Ling Xiao's sword. Chapter 49-28. Rumble. Continuous explosions were heard. How could those little black skeletons block Ling Xiao's god-defying art? They shattered one after another in the collision, erupting with terrifying sounds. A destructive aura filled the entire martial soul barrier. Chi! In the next moment, Ling Xiao's god-defying sword pierced through Yang Fan's body. The Dharma treasures on his body shattered. Fresh blood gushed out from his body. It was a ghastly sight. However, Ling Xiao didn't gain much of an advantage with this attack. There were many bruises on his body from the countless little skeletons. In terms of injuries, he wasn't much better than Yang Fan. Fortunately, he was able to fight Yang Fan to a draw despite being a weakling. Following the collision of Yang Fan's black skeletons, the energy in his cultivation sea that had stagnated for a long time began to rise again. Finally, it rose from 0 to 10%. If he broke through this time, his cultivation would reach the 4th level of the divine body realm. At that time, his chances of winning against a martial artist at the 7th level of the divine body realm would be very high even if he relied on his own body. Unlike now, when he fought with Yang Fan, his chances of winning weren't very high. As expected, it was too difficult to defeat a martial artist at the 7th level of the divine body realm without the fusion body. Even for Yang Fan, who was only at the early stage of the 7th level of the divine body realm. Even for Yang Fan, who increased his strength by consuming the heart of a powerhouse. He was also very difficult to defeat. After a moment of chaos, Yang Fan's wounds gradually healed. However, this also consumed a large amount of his divine essence and stamina. When martial artists fought, it was a battle of divine essence and stamina. This was crucial. Yang Fan raised his head again and looked at Ling Xiao. I didn't expect you to be able to do this without the fusion body. It seems like I've underestimated you before. Now, you're qualified for me to fight with my full strength. I won't be merciful from now on. Hearing Yang Fan's words, a mocking smile appeared on Ling Xiao's face. You're really shameless. You're already injured to this extent. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. Isn't it laughable? Ever since Yang Fan found out that he couldn't use the fused body, he had been extremely arrogant. Things had already turned out this way, yet he was still speaking as if he had been giving in to Ling Xiao all this while. How shameless! You can choose not to believe me, but you will soon understand what I mean. Yang Fan smiled faintly. The black flames all over his body began to boil again, rolling. The terrifying flames soared hundreds of meters high, but there was no heat in the surroundings. Some of them were cold and sinister. Martial soul fusion. Any martial soul could fuse with a martial artist's body. But generally speaking, it was easier to fuse with animal-type martial souls. Next was the weapon-type martial soul. The most difficult one was probably the elemental martial soul. After all, it was incompatible with the physical body of a martial artist. Martial artists who could fuse elemental martial souls were generally rare geniuses. Yang Fan was naturally no exception. As his voice rang out, the soaring flames suddenly retracted back into his body. Following that, Yang Fan's skin turned completely black. Strange runes appeared on the surface of the sword. At the same time, an incomparably powerful aura burst out from this guy's body. At that moment, Ling Xiao even had an illusion. Yang Fan was no longer a human or an undead. Instead, he had turned into a ball of flames that could burn and destroy everything. This aura seemed to be constantly increasing. In the end, it grew to the mid-stage of the 7th level divine body realm. Low-level combat power became intermediate-level combat power, which was at least a 10-fold increase. Is this your trump card? You are indeed powerful. No wonder you could become Lotus Flower's disciple. Ling Xiao looked at his opponent and was a little surprised. After fusing with the black flames, Yang Fan's cultivation level didn't just increase. Including speed, explosive power, and defense, all aspects increased at the same time. He became even harder to deal with. One had to know that Yang Fan, who was at the low level of the 7th level divine body realm, basically suppressed Ling Xiao in terms of strength. Now it became intermediate level combat power that was 10 times stronger. It was even more overwhelming. Did Ling Xiao have any other way to deal with it? Now, do you still think you have half a chance of winning? Yang Fan looked down at Ling Xiao condescendingly and sneered. I have to say, you made me use an immature martial soul fusion. You should be proud of yourself. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have made an enemy of me. The outcome of making an enemy of me is death. This won't change at all. Ling Xiao didn't say anything. He couldn't tell what he was thinking. At this moment, he suddenly moved. He instantly closed in on Yang Fan and stabbed out with the Void God sword in his right hand. Haha, do you think you can still hurt me with the same move? What a joke! Yang Fan laughed in disdain. He raised his right hand gently and black flames condensed into a wall of fire. In his opinion, this wall of fire could easily block Ling Xiao's attack. In fact, it was so. However, Yang Fan didn't know that Ling Xiao had a preliminary understanding of the spatial and temporal laws. A strange scene suddenly appeared. Ling Xiao's sword clearly stabbed at the wall of fire, but it was as if it didn't exist in the same space. The wall of fire actually didn't resist this sword at all. The Void God sword easily pierced through the wall of fire. It stabbed at Yang Fan's head. An incomparably powerful killing intent bloomed in an instant and completely fell on Yang Fan's body. What's going on? Yang Fan miscalculated. At that moment, he hurriedly began to not save him. His hands danced wildly, and a destructive power smashed towards Ling Xiao. He wanted to besiege Wei to rescue Zhao, attack Ling Xiao to make Ling Xiao give up attacking him. He believed that if Ling Xiao insisted on exchanging blows with him, the final winner would definitely be him and not Ling Xiao. Void God Art Level 6, 6-word stance. After repeated use, the first 5 levels had all been promoted to greater mastery. Ling Xiao had comprehended an even more powerful 6, 6-word stance. Even if this 6-word stance had just been initiated, its power was 10 times stronger than the 5-word stance's perfection. He hadn't used it all this time because he was waiting for an opportunity, and this was a very good opportunity. Although Yang Fan used martial soul fusion, he seemed to have underestimated his opponent. The 6 sword lights instantly fused into one and pierced Yang Fan's head. It was simply unstoppable. At that moment, Yang Fan was in complete disbelief. After his strength increased greatly, he was even more certain that he would be the winner of this battle. Ling Xiao couldn't hurt him at all, let alone win. But at this moment his head was pierced. The sword Qi was approaching his soul realm. Get lost! Yang Fan's choice at this moment was considered smart. A terrifying howl that belonged to a wild beast erupted from his throat. His hands suddenly bombarded Ling Xiao's body. At that moment, Ling Xiao didn't retreat. He was very determined to exchange blows with Yang Fan. Yang Fan's fists hit Ling Xiao and sent Ling Xiao flying. The Void God sword was also pulled out of Yang Fan's head. Chapter 49-29. Yang Fan's head was pierced by Ling Xiao's sword. Blood spurted out like a fountain. Yang Fan wailed in pain. Of course, Ling Xiao didn't feel good either. He spat out a mouthful of blood and felt that several of his ribs were broken. If he wasn't a divine body realm expert and didn't have an extremely strong physical body, he would have really died if he took Yang Fan's attack head-on. He swallowed a healing pill. Ling Xiao stood there and hurriedly healed his injuries. His recovery ability was already close to that of the undead race. Therefore, in this aspect, he wasn't inferior to Yang Fan at all. At the same time, the wound on Yang Fan's head also healed. However, his soul was also injured because of this, and his divine essence and stamina were depleted by nearly a third. This was simply terrible. Yang Fan didn't think about this. At this moment, he was in a deranged state, completely furious to the extreme. I'm going to kill you. I'm definitely going to kill you. When he was in his strongest state, Ling Xiao actually almost killed him with a single strike. Not only did this make him extremely fearful, but it also made him extremely embarrassed. The furious Yang Fan pounced towards Ling Xiao crazily. However, Ling Xiao had a victorious smile on his face. You've already lost. Facing the furious Yang Fan, Ling Xiao seemed very relaxed. In the few crucial exchanges, he actually had the upper hand. Yang Fan didn't unleash his powerful combat strength at all, especially the instant martial soul fusion. It was actually destroyed by Ling Xiao's trick. Not only was his stamina and divine essence greatly depleted, but his soul was also injured. In his current situation, it was impossible for him to be Ling Xiao's match. Don't forget, there was still the bloodthirsty rat plague that was constantly weakening Yang Fan. As a result, Yang Fan's current strength wasn't even half of what it was at the beginning of the battle. I didn't lose. Amidst his furious roar, Yang Fan and Ling Xiao's bodies crossed each other. In the next moment, Yang Fan fell to the ground. A smear of red appeared between his eyebrows. This time, Ling Xiao's sword really pierced Yang Fan's soul realm. If Yang Fan wanted to continue living, there was absolutely no chance of that happening. In order to completely eliminate any future problems, Ling Xiao used the Void God sword to suck Yang Fan dry. The God-defying Tao Tai had leveled up again and reached the peak of the 6th level divine physique stage. In the future, he would have a powerful battle pet to help him. As the God-defying Tao Tai became stronger, the God-defying sword also became stronger. Although the dragon pattern had not increased yet, it was still the same. However, he could clearly feel that both the lethality and the terrifying deterrence had become much stronger. Removing the martial spirit barrier, Ling Xiao coldly looked at the sky. Lotus flower, as long as I, Ling Xiao, am still alive, I will not allow you to harm the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Just wait. Soon, very soon, I will come and find you. We still have a debt to settle between us. The battle with Yang Fan had increased his cultivation sea's energy by 30%. Although he was still far from breaking through, he was not in a hurry. There were still many enemies, enough for him to make another breakthrough. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he turned his head to look at the other battles. Long Qin had unleashed his invincible might. Out of the 17 5th-level divine physique stage undead powerhouses, only 2 or 3 were left. The battle was almost over. Yu Fenghua and Cold Plum had each killed an opponent and now had a huge advantage. It shouldn't be long before the battle ended. The Platinum Tiger King and the Rainbow Snake King did not disappoint either. The two of them worked together and injured the weakest Yama. The battle was about to end. Ling Xiao relaxed and began to pay attention to the destruction of the dark barrier. At that moment, boom! With a loud bang, the dark barrier finally shattered under the combined efforts of the 6 ghouls and Yuan Venerates. The moment the dark barrier shattered, the remaining Yama and undead warriors fled frantically. They tried to escape from everyone's attack range. In that instant, their speed became extremely fast. Ling Xiao immediately raised the Void God Sword and released 6 sword lights. The remaining Yama and undead warriors were all shattered. However, he was not very sure whether they were dead or not. This was because the fragments of the explosion were actually absorbed by 4 of the undead fruit trees. He could clearly feel that the 4 undead fruit trees seemed to have gained intelligence at that moment. They actually emitted an extremely terrifying, murderous aura. It was completely different from the other 3 undead fruit trees. Everyone be careful. The Beast Emperor has not shown himself yet. It is very likely that he will launch a sneak attack. Don't let your guard down. Leave these undead fruit trees to me. You guys are in charge of guarding. Ling Xiao would never give up on being calm at any time. Sometimes the closer one was to success, the easier it was to fail. He did not want to waste all his previous efforts because of a moment of carelessness. Long Chen, Yu Fenghua, Cold Plum, the Rainbow Snake King, and the Platinum Tiger King nodded their heads. They were vigilant of any changes in their surroundings. This was because they trusted Ling Xiao. Not only was Ling Xiao powerful, but his judgment had never been wrong. If he said there might be danger, there would definitely be danger. If the Beast Emperor and the 4 Supreme Beast Kings that followed him had all swallowed the hearts of powerhouses, they would definitely be very powerful. Moreover, since they were in charge of guarding the undead fruit trees, it was impossible for them not to appear. Ling Xiao walked toward the 7 undead fruit trees with the Void God's sword in hand. His plan was very simple. He would first destroy the 3 ordinary undead fruit trees. Then he would deal with the 4 mutated undead fruit trees. Destroy! Ling Xiao's figure flashed, and the Void God's sword in his hand pierced through one of the undead fruit trees. A large amount of energy from the undead fruit tree surged into the Void God's sword. Although this thing did not have much combat power, its energy was really terrifying. It was at least equivalent to the total amount of divine essence of a peak 6th level divine body realm martial artist. Next, in the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao destroyed the first undead fruit tree in less than a second. In an instant, the second undead fruit tree was also sucked dry. Ling Xiao's target was the 3rd undead fruit tree. However, at this moment there was a sudden change. A huge black bear descended from the sky. Its target was Yu Fenghua and Cold Plum. This guy was over 100 meters tall. If its huge bare paw were to stomp down, no one would be able to withstand it. Beast Emperor. At that moment, the Rainbow Snake King and Platinum Tiger King sensed a familiar aura from the other party. Although this aura was terrifyingly evil, it was definitely the Beast Emperor. It was just as Ling Xiao expected. The Beast Emperor actually launched a sudden attack at this moment. If they were not prepared, they would definitely be flustered right now. They might not even be able to unleash the strength that they were supposed to unleash. However, Ling Xiao had reminded everyone to be careful. Therefore, they were always on guard. Although they didn't know why the Beast Emperor targeted Yufanghua and Lang Mei, they didn't know why. However, this was something that they did not need to think about. It was enough to know that the Beast Emperor was an enemy. At this moment, Ling Xiao was destroying the third undead fruit tree. The Beast Emperor chose a good time. At this moment, no matter how fast Ling Xiao was, he would not be able to rush over to save them. Actually, he did not know that Ling Xiao did not need to rush over at all. Chapter 49:30. To be honest, with Ling Xiao's current strength, if he didn't use the fused body, he wouldn't be able to defeat the Beast King. Long Chen, Yufanghua, and Cold Plum were better than him. Of course, Ling Xiao might be able to win in a real battle because his combat skills were very good. His combat intelligence was extraordinary. However, it was undeniable that Long Chen, Yufanghua, and Cold Plum were very strong. Even if the Beast King swallowed the heart of a powerhouse, he wouldn't be a match for the three of them. Just as the Beast King was about to succeed, a dragon roar was heard. A huge golden dragon suddenly appeared in front of Yufanghua and Cold Plum. Its terrifying claws slapped upward. "Sisters, you don't have to do anything. Leave this old thing to me." Boom! In the next moment, the giant bear and giant dragon collided. Although Long Chen was only responding hastily, his current combat power was stronger than the Beast King's. The Beast King's huge body was sent flying. The golden dragon's feet sank into the ground because of this. However, he clearly had the upper hand in this collision. Powerful physical strength was the natural advantage of the golden colossal dragon clan. Even the Beast King couldn't be compared to him. After the Beast King was repelled, he was shocked. He made a mistake by underestimating the strength of these people, causing his surprise attack to fail. Not only did he fail, but he was also injured. At this moment, the Beast King, who had stood up again, had bloodshot eyes. He was angry and frightened. Long Chen didn't chase after him, because no one knew how many people the other party had. It was safer to stay together for now. If he chased after him rashly, the other party might seize the opportunity to attack again. After all, the Nine-Tailed Fox King, Unicorn Wolf King, Golden Lion King, and Iron-Wing Eagle King hadn't appeared yet. Long Chen didn't chase after him. However, Ling Xiao couldn't let the Beast King go. Not only did this guy cause Xiao Jin's disappearance, but he also attacked Yufanghua and Cold Plum. No matter what, it made him furious. "Your Excellency, Beast King, I didn't expect our first meeting to be in such a situation." A cold voice came from above the giant bear's head. The Beast Emperor looked up in horror. He saw Ling Xiao hovering in the air, holding the Void God's sword with a cold expression. His eyes were filled with a terrifying, murderous aura. The reason why the Beast Emperor was so terrified was because he hadn't noticed when Ling Xiao had appeared. This kid simply appeared and disappeared unpredictably. The Beast Emperor calmed himself down. Xiao Chen raised his head and looked at Ling Xiao. "It looks like Little Gold was not boasting back then. You really have to grow into the most terrifying existence in the 9 realms. I'm afraid that other than Lotus Flower, no one else can make you afraid, right?" "You're wrong. Even the Lotus Flower can't make me afraid," Ling Xiao said indifferently. "Hee, that's because you don't know how powerful he is. If you really knew, you wouldn't have said such ignorant words. Although you have worked very hard, I still have to say that your efforts are ultimately in vain. Sooner or later, the 4 regions and 9 worlds would become a paradise for the undead. Humans would be completely exiled and slaughtered. I merely chose a wiser path." The Beast Emperor seemed to have seen the Lotus Flower before, which was why he had become so crazy. Thinking about it, it made sense. Just the heart of a powerhouse was enough to drive a cultivator crazy. The Lotus Flower was even more capable of bewitching these martial artists. You've chosen to side with the Lotus Flower, which is equivalent to choosing a path of certain death. What a foolish choice. For this, you've abandoned so many people in the Beast Emperor Palace. You've even dragged down the Supreme Beast King loyal to you. Do you really think it's worth it? Ling Xiao said with a frown. He really couldn't understand the choices of these powerhouses. Clearly, if they chose to follow the lotus flower, they would lose their freedom completely, because the lotus flower could easily control martial artists who devoured the heart of the strong. He really couldn't understand why so many people were fighting to be a puppet. What's not worth it? You don't understand at all. The undead are the most perfect species in the world. We have almost unlimited lifespan and the ability to not die. Moreover, just by devouring, we can continuously become stronger. How can mere humans compare to us? The Beast Emperor's face was filled with madness. This made Ling Xiao shake his head helplessly. This guy was really hopeless. He had completely turned into a lunatic. Forget it. I can't be bothered to argue with you. Let me ask you, where is Little Gold? If a person chose the wrong path and you tried to persuade them, it would be impossible. Ling Xiao wasn't the Beast Emperor's father, so he wouldn't spend so much effort to persuade him back to the right path. He was more concerned about Little Gold's whereabouts now. Hearing this question, the Beast Emperor suddenly laughed wildly. Are you very worried about that brat? Unfortunately, I'm afraid you won't be able to see him again in this lifetime. I've already killed him. He's completely erased from this world. Hee hee, so you don't know where Little Gold is either. Ling Xiao suddenly laughed. The Beast Emperor tried to use these words to provoke him, but he didn't know that his Tai Chi eye could see through lies. Instead, it let him know that Little Gold was probably fine at the moment. He had just encountered some unexpected trouble. How did you know? The Beast Emperor revealed a shocked expression. It was really a bit depressing to have his lies seen through. It doesn't matter how I know. Now, I'll send you to the afterlife. Ling Xiao's Void God sword condensed a terrifying amount of divine essence. The tyrannical power continued to rise. The Rainbow Snake King and the Platinum Tiger King looked at the Beast Emperor, unable to believe that this person was the emperor they had once pledged loyalty to. This was simply madness. He had completely abandoned his human identity and considered himself an undead. The two of them could only rejoice that they had made the right choice. They had chosen Little Gold, not the Beast Emperor. They even suspected that the other four Supreme Beast Kings might have been forced to eat the hearts of powerhouses. Demonic Ox Fist. As he condensed his sword intent, Ling Xiao's left hand punched out with the demonic ox fist. The huge fist smashed toward the Beast Emperor like a mountain. The Beast Emperor resisted with all his might. This was because he discovered that he had no chance of dodging the fist. He could only face it head-on. Boom! Half of the Beast Emperor's body was smashed into the ground. At this moment, Ling Xiao released the Void God art in his right hand. 6 streaks of sword light pierced into the Beast Emperor's 6 vital points. They tore at the Beast Emperor's body in a frenzy. The Beast Emperor struggled with all his might. However, Ling Xiao would not give him a chance to live. Void Shattering Finger, shattering the void. Ling Xiao was not the kind of person who would let a tiger return to the mountains. If he had the chance, he would definitely kill his enemy. As this technique was unleashed, the space where the Beast Emperor was began to distort. A series of cracks appeared. As the cracks appeared, the Beast Emperor's body was also torn apart. Crack! The sound of glass shattering could be heard. At the same time, the Beast Emperor's body was completely destroyed, turning into a bloody mist. What a pity! I forgot to use the Void God sword to absorb essence. Seeing the Beast Emperor die, Ling Xiao sighed. However, killing this guy was really satisfying. Chapter 49:31. The Beast Emperor. Even the Beast Emperor, who had consumed the heart of a powerhouse, couldn't withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's strength completely shocked the Rainbow Snake King and the Platinum Tiger King. Although Ling Xiao's defeat of the Eternal Emperor had already dealt a huge blow to them, they were still shocked. Seeing this shocking scene again, they couldn't calm down for a long time. The Beast Emperor's death actually pained them. After all, they had been loyal to the Emperor for so many years. They still had feelings for him, but they didn't regret their heartache. The Beast Emperor had really gone mad. For his own selfish reasons, he had actually sided with the Lotus Flower and abandoned the hundreds of millions of martial artists in the Beast Imperial Palace. He had even taken the initiative to help the Lotus Flower turn them into undead. Even 10 deaths wouldn't be too many for such a person. Fortunately, they had a powerful existence like Ling Xiao. Otherwise, the Beast Imperial Palace and even the Savage Beast region would have to endure this terrifying calamity. Don't think too much. The battle isn't over yet. Ling Xiao reminded everyone, those 4 undead fruit trees are a little strange. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, everyone stopped their wild thoughts and looked at the remaining 4 undead fruit trees. The tall trunks were at least 100 meters long. The huge treetops looked like they were made of white bones. They were eerie and evil. Each tree exuded a terrifying aura. In the next moment, their roots stretched out from the ground and turned into strange legs. There were 8 of them. They were like octopuses. Roar! Violent roars came from the undead fruit trees. Although they couldn't see their mouths or eyes, they felt that these undead fruit trees weren't just ordinary plants. They had become terrifying existences similar to demon beasts. Platinum Tiger King, Rainbow Snake King, you too must be careful. Protect yourselves with all your might. Ling Xiao's reminder was necessary. Here, Long Chen, Cold Plum, and Yu Fenghua didn't need to worry. There weren't many martial artists in the 9 realms who could hurt them. However, the powerful Supreme Beast King of the past seemed a little weak now. Once the battle started, Ling Xiao might not have the time to protect them, so they could only rely on themselves. Even if he couldn't help, he couldn't add to the trouble. Kill! Ling Xiao ordered. Other than the Platinum Tiger King and the Rainbow Snake King, the other 4 pounced out at the same time. One of them pounced on an undead fruit tree. Cold Plum released the Ancient War tree and fought against the departed Spirit Fruit tree. The scene was shocking. In the dense forest, 2 giant trees that were over 100 meters tall were actually attacking each other. It was likely that most martial artists had never seen such a scene before. Long Chen immediately transformed into a golden colossal dragon and engaged in battle with another departed spirit fruit tree. The battle was equally intense. Ling Xiao also transformed into the Hell Undying Bird. The giant Hell Undying Bird and the giant tree began to fight to the death. Only Yu Fenghua's fighting style was different from theirs. A bright moon appeared behind Yu Fenghua. The moonlight turned into sharp blades and shot at one of the departed spirit fruit trees. I can win. Ling Xiao sensed the departed spirit fruit tree's strength as soon as he came into contact with it. It was much stronger than the Beast Emperor, but it was definitely not as strong as Yangfan. The most terrifying thing about the departed spirit fruit tree was that it could continuously absorb nutrients from the earth to nourish itself. Its defense and survivability were also much stronger than the Beast Emperor. It wouldn't be easy for Ling Xiao to defeat it, but even if it wasn't easy, he could still defeat it. With the Beast God's body, the Sun God's blood formation, and Tyrant's possession, Ling Xiao could completely burn the departed spirit fruit tree. The battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. The departed spirit fruit tree that was fighting against Ling Xiao started to burn. No matter what kind of tree it was, as long as it was a tree, it would definitely be afraid of fire. Moreover, Ling Xiao released a powerful deviant flame. The departed spirit fruit tree couldn't withstand such a terrifying flame. At the last moment of its life, the departed spirit fruit tree condensed all its energy into a heart of a powerhouse. A ripe melon will fall. As for its enormous body, it was completely burned to ashes. The departed spirit fruit tree that was fighting against Cold Plum was assimilated and absorbed by the ancient war tree. However, the departed spirit fruit tree also gave birth to a heart of a powerhouse at the last moment. However, the strange thing was that this heart of a powerhouse seemed to be much bigger than the one that Ling Xiao had seen at the Palace of Eternal Life. Long Chen's sharp claws and long extinguish directly burned the departed spirit fruit tree like firewood. Similarly, a heart of a powerhouse was born. Yu Fenghua's moonlight arrow turned the departed spirit fruit tree into a hornet's nest and finally exploded. It turned into sawdust that covered the ground. A heart of a powerhouse was also born. These 4 hearts of a powerhouse landed in the same place and fused together to form a huge egg-like object. This doesn't feel good. Ling Xiao frowned. This was something that he hadn't expected. According to his guess, the battle should have ended after the departed spirit fruit tree was destroyed. However, the development of reality was a little strange. A huge egg that was beyond his imagination appeared. The moment he sensed that something was wrong, Ling Xiao thought of destroying this huge egg. He had a feeling that if he didn't destroy this thing, something terrifying would definitely appear in the huge egg. Anyway, it wouldn't be anything good. However, it was too late. Just as he was about to make a move, crack! The huge egg cracked open, releasing an extremely terrifying energy from within, causing a gust of wind to blow. It caused Ling Xiao to be unable to open his eyes for a moment. What happened? Everyone was astonished. Upon closer inspection, a person walked out of the huge egg. To be exact, it was a monster that stood on its own 2 feet. This monster looked like a black bear. However, its body was more well-proportioned and not as muscular. However, its appearance was still similar to a black bear. There was also a pair of huge wings on its back. This kind of creature was really something that no one had ever seen in the savage beast region. This is troublesome. Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye flashed, and the strength of the monster in front of him was clearly reflected in his mind. It was actually in the early stage of the 7th level divine body realm. This strength was comparable to the Eternal Emperor who swallowed the heart of a powerhouse. It was even stronger than Yang Fan. Although Yang Fan was also in the early stage of the 7th level divine body realm, his combat strength was a comprehensive factor. He couldn't be compared to the Eternal Emperor and the monster in front of him. Moreover, if Yang Fan fought seriously, it was basically impossible for him to be killed by Ling Xiao. There were 2 reasons why Yang Fan was killed by Ling Xiao single-handedly. First, he had underestimated his opponent. Second, his defense was weaker. And this black bear with wings in front of him was definitely not something that he could kill, unless he entered the fusion state. To be honest, even if he entered the fusion state, it wouldn't be that easy to win. Ling Xiao felt that this guy's combat strength was so strong that it was suffocating. Even 10 Yang fans couldn't match up to this guy. Even the Eternal Emperor, who had devoured the heart of an expert in the past, seemed to be inferior to this guy. Chapter 4932. The moment the winged black bear was born, the death energy in the entire forest roared crazily. It was as if they were welcoming the arrival of this powerhouse. What? You can't recognize me so quickly? The monster suddenly spoke. This voice, Beast Emperor. Ling Xiao showed a surprised expression. He never thought that the Beast Emperor, who he had just crushed to ashes, would be reborn in this form. Seeing the stunned expressions of Ling Xiao and the others, the Beast Emperor seemed very proud. Ha ha ha! Did you really think I was dead? I have to thank you, Ling Xiao. It was you who finally let me be reborn and become a true undead powerhouse. I didn't become an undead because I wanted to be loyal to anyone. It's because the undead are indeed the most favored existence of the heavens. Think about it carefully. What is the purpose of you cultivating martial arts? Isn't it to be immortal? And becoming an undead can achieve this. I have already obtained what you have been pursuing with all your effort. It's funny that you still ask me why I ate the heart of a powerhouse. Is there even a need to ask? Ling Xiao's surprised expression gradually returned to normal. Looking at the ferocious Beast Emperor, he suddenly laughed. Immortal? You seem to have misunderstood immortal. Even if you become an undead, you can't escape the passage of time. With your strength, you can only live for a few thousand years at most. At that time, you will still turn into a pile of dust. More importantly, we pursue immortality to get rid of the shackles of the law of time. And you becoming an undead is equivalent to forcefully jumping into the shackles of others. What a ridiculous idea. And I can clearly tell you that the soul of an undead will gradually lose its reason. At that time, you'll be nothing more than a walking corpse. Do you still think that's good? Bullshit. The Beast Emperor roared angrily, releasing a fishy smell from his bloody mouth. He continued angrily, "You are simply talking nonsense. Lotus Flower didn't say that. As long as we occupy the 4 regions and 9 worlds, as long as we devour more powerhouses, we can continue to live. Until eternity. The law of time can forget about taking away our lives. Of course, you definitely won't be able to see that moment, because you're going to die today." How stubborn. Ling Xiao sighed. This guy was completely hopeless. He was just using the most common sense. But this guy didn't believe it. Instead, he insisted on believing in that lotus flower. It seemed that he had been seriously brainwashed. He was a Beast Emperor, yet he couldn't control his heart. However, thinking about it carefully, it was normal. If everyone could remain calm in the face of bewitchment, there wouldn't be any inner demons. Inner demons? Oh, right. Ling Xiao suddenly thought of a way to easily defeat the Beast Emperor. These people who were bewitched by the lotus flower had the most inner demons. Their souls had long been contaminated, losing their purity and tenacity. Therefore, illusions were an extremely effective way to attack them. You 3, stop him. I have a guess that I need to verify. Ling Xiao said to Long Qin, Yufeng Hua, and Cold Plum. The 3 men nodded. At the same time, they charged toward the Beast Emperor. Although the Beast Emperor had become stronger, Long Chen, Yufeng Hua, and Cold Plum weren't to be trifled with. They were all top geniuses, although their cultivation was at the peak of the 6th level divine body realm. They could definitely challenge ordinary peak 7th level divine body realm existences. Of course, the Beast Emperor wasn't an ordinary 7th level divine body realm martial artist. Therefore, it was a little troublesome to deal with him. However, they still wouldn't lose. The 3 of them joined forces and started to besiege him. The Beast Emperor tried his best, but he could only block them. He didn't even have a chance to counterattack. Ling Xiao had clearly guessed that this would be the outcome of the battle. However, the advantage didn't mean that they could kill the Beast Emperor. The other party's defense was extremely strong. His strength was also extremely terrifying. Even if he joined in, the 4 of them could only gain the upper hand and not kill the Beast Emperor. Moreover, the Beast Emperor's body was formed by the power of the departed spirit fruit tree. It could still continuously absorb the death aura between heaven and earth. Fighting until the end, it might be the 4 of them whose divine essence was depleted first. Therefore, Ling Xiao needed the most reliable way to win. Staring at the Beast Emperor, Ling Xiao didn't do anything for a very long time, because he was looking for an opportunity. The Beast Emperor clearly knew that Ling Xiao was there, and he was very wary of him. However, in the face of Long Qin and the other 2's frenzied attacks, he simply couldn't divert his attention to Ling Xiao. At a certain moment, Ling Xiao moved. Illusion Demon Eye activated. A purple ray of light shot into the Beast Emperor's head. Ah! In that instant, the Beast Emperor let out an earth-shattering scream. He completely forgot to defend and just hugged his head and cried bitterly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Long Chen, Yufeng Hua, and Cold Plum exploded with their strongest attacks at the same time. Under the combined attacks of the 3, the Beast Emperor's body let out a terrifying explosion. After the explosion disappeared, the Beast Emperor's figure could no longer be seen. Only the huge craters caused by the explosion could be seen on the ground, as well as the ground full of blood. This time, is he really going to die? Because of the previous lesson, Cold Plum was a little hesitant. He should be dead. Long Chin couldn't sense the Beast Emperor's aura. Xiao, what do you think? Yu Fenghua looked at Ling Xiao and asked. After Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye observed the nearby traces, he frowned and said, "How cunning. He actually escaped at the critical moment." What? Long Chen, Cold Plum, and Yu Fenghua were a little helpless. Forget it. If he escaped, then he escaped. I also used it several times to kill Yongfan. This Beast Emperor should have some treasure on him. Even my martial spirit barrier can't trap him. Don't be afraid. His strength can't increase anymore. As for us, we still have a chance to improve. Ling Xiao smiled and collected all the petals of the departed spirit fruit tree on the ground. Just as everyone was wondering what he was doing, a huge human face suddenly appeared in the sky. It covered the entire sky. Ling Xiao was all too familiar with this face. It was Lotus Flower. Ling Xiao. This roar was like a thunderclap, causing the Platinum Tiger King and the Rainbow Snake King to lie on the ground. Ling Xiao, Long Chin, Yu Fenghua, and Cold Plum also felt an extremely terrifying pressure. Their entire bodies were trembling. This guy clearly hasn't obtained the sovereign physique, but he's already so terrifying. Whether it's the Eternal Emperor or the Beast Emperor, they're not on the same level as him. Gritting his teeth, Ling Xiao forced himself to stand up straight. Old thing, if you have anything to say, just say it. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the huge face in the sky. He didn't believe that Lotus Flower would show his face in front of him for no reason. There must be something. You're still so stubborn. Lotus Flower smiled faintly and said, "Your improvement has really opened my eyes. To be honest, I really regret not accepting you as my disciple. However, you still have a choice. Hand over my sovereign physique, and I can let you become the true ruler of the 4 regions and 9 worlds." Chapter 49-33. I say, old thing, isn't your vision a little too low? The ruler of the 4 regions and 9 worlds? To be honest, that doesn't satisfy me at all. To me, the 4 regions and 9 worlds is just a part of my huge ambition. Don't talk nonsense. There's no point in trying to bewitch me with this kind of bewitching words. Facing Lotus Flower's bewitchment, Ling Xiao's attitude was very firm. It wasn't that he had fewer inner demons than others. It was because Lotus Flower couldn't satisfy his ambition. Old thing, are you saying such words because you're afraid of me? But that's true. Starting from the damp lands, then the 9 forces attacking the Golden City, then the Blood Demon Eye in the chaotic desert, then the Eternal Life Palace, the Heroes' Assembly, and the Undead Fruit Tree in the Savage Beast region. I foiled all of these schemes one by one. You must be panicking. Ling Xiao mocked. Master, you've forgotten about the Savage Martial Emperor Palace. Cold Plum reminded. Oh, right, there's still the Savage Martial Emperor Palace. Old thing, I'll make it clear today. If you want to do anything to the 4 regions and 9 worlds, you'll have to ask if the sword in Ling Xiao's hand agrees. Ling Xiao said loudly, Stinking brat, do you want everyone around you to die? You've angered me time and time again. Emperor Lianhua was clearly enraged. It was impossible to say that he wasn't angry. As long as one of his schemes succeeded, the undead disaster would become very easy. But all of them failed, and the main culprit for the failure of these schemes was Ling Xiao. Can you do it? Ling Xiao sneered. Brat, don't tell me you've forgotten about your good friend, Mo Jiao? His soul is still in my hands. Don't you want it any more? Lotus Flower said eerily, Stop trying to scare me. If you dare to hurt Mo Jiao's soul, I'll completely destroy your emperor physique. Don't blame me for not warning you. Ling Xiao would not be threatened by Lotus Flower. Moreover, the more unyielding his attitude was, the more Lotus Flower did not dare to touch the demonic flood dragon. In addition, as a precaution, Ling Xiao had already sent the Undying King to infiltrate the graveyard of the gods. With the addition of Yu Chen, hopefully they would be able to save the Mo Jiao. This way, the other party wouldn't have any evidence against him. Now his task was to protect the Lotus Flower's sovereign physique. As long as the sovereign physique was in his hands, the Lotus Flower wouldn't dare to act rashly. Brat, don't think too highly of yourself. Can you save the 4 regions and 9 worlds by yourself? I advise you to return the sovereign physique as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will kill you. After this, you will not be able to concentrate on cultivating or resting. You will spend the rest of your days in fear. Lotus Flower threatened. I know. Scram back to where you came from. I will go to the graveyard of the gods sooner or later, but not now. Ling Xiao could feel how powerful the Lotus Flower was. He wouldn't take the initiative to go. He had to continue to increase his strength. At the very least, he had to break through to the 4th level of the divine physique echelon. Brat, you will definitely regret this. The thunderous voice gradually faded away. The huge face in the sky gradually disappeared. Ling Xiao stood there and didn't say anything. He was thinking about his next move. He definitely couldn't be led by the nose by the other party. He had to follow his plan and not let the other party know what he was thinking. To be honest, he didn't manage to save the demonic flood dragon. It was as if there was a rock pressing down on his heart. It was suffocating. But even so, he had to endure it, because he knew very well that if he made a stupid decision because of his agitation, not only would he kill the demonic flood dragon, even he would be done for. If he was done for, the entire 4 regions and 9 worlds would be done for. It wasn't that he overestimated himself. It was just that based on the current situation, the one who could really defeat the Lotus Flower was him. Others really didn't have this ability. As the departed spirit fruit tree was completely destroyed, the aura of death in the surroundings gradually faded. There was no longer the fishy smell of flowers in the air. Their hard work had not been in vain. Oh, right, Xiao, why did you pick up the petals of the departed spirit fruit tree just now? Yu Fenghua suddenly asked. On one hand, it was because she really wanted to ask. On the other hand, she also wanted to free Ling Xiao from his worries. He shouldn't keep thinking about the departed spirit disaster. Refining pills. Ling Xiao smiled. Refining pills? The few of them were stunned for a moment. Long Qin couldn't help but say, Big brother, this evil thing can be refined into pills? You're not joking, right? Do I look like I'm joking? Although the heart of a powerhouse will turn a martial artist into a departed spirit monster. But it's undeniable that it has the effect of promoting a martial artist. Add in the refinement method and extract this effect. Then it can be used on martial artists. You don't have to turn into a departed spirit, and you can still improve your cultivation. Ling Xiao explained, however, the heart of a powerhouse is too complicated. With my current ability, I still can't completely refine out the negative effects. But this petal is different. The effect will be much weaker, but there are no negative effects. If this can really be done, then that's great. This way, the human race can have many more experts. In the upcoming departed spirit disaster, our chances of winning will also be higher. Yu Fenghua was pleasantly surprised. How about this? I'll refine pills first to increase your strength. If that's the case, we'll be able to better protect our youth and save the people. After he finished speaking, he used heaven and earth as a furnace. He activated the strange fire and began refining pills. The Platinum Tiger King and the Rainbow Snake King wanted to say something, but they didn't have the chance. Your Majesty, how long will it take to refine pills? The Platinum Tiger King couldn't ask Ling Xiao, so he could only ask Long Qin. Don't worry, it probably won't take long. At most, it'll take a day. Actually, Long Qin wasn't too sure how powerful Ling Xiao's alchemy skills were now. What he knew was that Ling Xiao's alchemy speed was very fast. Refining a medicinal pill a day is really too fast. Is the quality guaranteed? The Platinum Tiger King and the Rainbow Snake King looked at each other. They both had the same thought, but they didn't say it out loud. After all, it was easy to offend people if they did that. However, what they didn't expect was that Ling Xiao's pill was completed after an hour. Moreover, it wasn't just one pill, but more than 100. And this was because there weren't enough materials. Otherwise, with Ling Xiao's current ability, he could refine even more. Let's call it the Powerhouse Advancement Pill. After all, this pill was purely developed by me based on the effects of the heart of a powerhouse. One for each person. Let's use it first. Ling Xiao distributed the pills to everyone and swallowed one himself. The pill melted in his mouth. In the next moment, Ling Xiao felt it. However, this feeling was a little too mild. It only increased the energy in his cultivation, from 30% to 40%. This made him a little disappointed, so he ate another pill. In the end, the energy in his cultivation, only increased by 5%. The third pill's effect was even worse. After eating a total of 10 pills, it was completely ineffective. The energy in his cultivation, had just increased by 50%. Chapter 4934. Completely different from Ling Xiao were the Platinum Tiger King and the Rainbow Snake King. These two fellows only ate one pill, and both of them had a breakthrough in their cultivation. They directly advanced from the peak of the 5th level of the Divine Body Realm to the early stage of the 6th level of the Divine Body Realm. However, when the two of them ate the third pill, it was completely ineffective. Their cultivation finally broke through to the peak of the 6th level of the Divine Body Realm. Little Gold, Yufanghua, and Cold Plum took 5 pills before it was ineffective. Their cultivation advanced to the early stage of the 7th level of the Divine Body Realm at the same time. In this short period of time, they had already used 21 pills. However, the effect was still outstanding. His Majesty is simply a god. He actually used the enemy's departed spirit fruit tree to help us improve our cultivation. We won't turn into departed spirits. This is too magical. The Platinum Tiger King was now in complete admiration of Ling Xiao. Previously it was only fear. Now it was truly in awe. You're praising me too much. You guys remember, don't tell anyone about this. Otherwise, Lotus Flower won't give me another chance to collect materials. Now, everyone start to protect me. I'm going to set up a formation to assist Fanghua in saving the citizens of Wind Wolf Country and let them return to being humans. Ling Xiao could now help you Fanghua save people without any worries. The rest of the people were completely capable of protecting him. Unless Lotus Flower came personally, very few people would be able to defeat Long Chen, Cold Plum, and the 2 Supreme Beast Kings. Before setting up the formation, Ling Xiao let his 3 Supremes body pass down an order to the border army. He told them to go deep into the infected area. On one hand, they had to rescue the human martial artists who had been turned. On the other hand, they had to completely kill the blood-red departed spirits. After everything was arranged properly, Ling Xiao spent a day at the scene to set up a large formation that could affect the entire infected area. After that, Yu Fanghua sat cross-legged in the center of the formation and released a purifying power. Ling Xiao activated his divine origin to help Yu Fanghua. At this moment, everyone saw a huge moon appear in the sky. Wherever the moonlight shone, a large number of undead began to transform. The aura of death was completely driven away and purified. During this time, Lotus Flower's minions came to harass them many times, and a large number of blood-red undead attacked them. However, they were all defeated or killed by Long Chin and the others. Everything was proceeding in an orderly manner. To be honest, Ling Xiao's heart ached when he saw the sweat on his woman's forehead and her pale face. The only thing he could do was to transfer this fatigue to himself. The Void God sword was a miraculous sword. he could absorb the essence of a martial artist's divine essence. It could also absorb fatigue and pain. As a man, he naturally had to bear all of this for the woman he loved. Of course, he could also choose to stop. But if he did that, he wouldn't be able to live with his conscience. In the entire infected area, there were at least 100 million martial artists who were infected. Except for a small number of blood-red undead, they were all innocent warriors. This was definitely not a cold number, but a living person. An entire 7 days and 7 nights. The two of them didn't eat or drink. They didn't stop for even a moment. Finally, they saved nearly 100 million martial artists in the infected area. The blood-red undead were killed by the group led by the 3 Supremes. The Wind Wolf country was completely controlled by the Heavenly Empire. On the border, they began to set up defensive formations again. This way, Lotus Flower wouldn't be able to succeed so easily. The day ended. The entire Beast Emperor Palace was singing the names of those heroes. Ling Xiao, Yu Fenghua, Cold Plum, Long Chin, Rainbow Snake King, Platinum Tiger King. They saved the Wind Wolf country, saved the Beast Emperor Palace. Among them, Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua's deeds were written into the history of the savage beast realm. They were hailed as the immortal couple who saved the world. The power of the undead calamity could make the humans of the 4 regions despair and lose their will to fight. Fear could make people give up all resistance. However, Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua's existence dispelled their fear and gave them great confidence. They were the nemesis of the undead calamity, the immortal couple who would lead the 4 regions and 9 worlds to the light. What people feared the most was losing hope. When hope appeared, there would be motivation. In the past, the undead might have been able to take advantage of the situation, but now, everyone was on guard. Everyone was monitoring. If anything out of the ordinary happened, they would immediately report it. The matter would quickly be resolved and settled. Perhaps this was the so-called unity. This was the so-called wartime state. Only in this state could the humans possibly win this war. Otherwise, if Ling Xiao was alone, even if he could defeat Lotus Flower, the humans of the 4 regions and 9 worlds would probably all die. Xiao, just lie on my lap and sleep. Don't think about anything else. Seeing Ling Xiao's tired appearance, Yu Fenghua felt like a knife was being twisted in her heart. She knew that Ling Xiao had absorbed all her fatigue and pain. Yes, it's time to rest. Ling Xiao dared to rest because he had powerful comrades. Whether it was Long Chun, Cold Plum, or the current Rainbow Snake King and Platinum Tiger King, they had all become powerful helpers. While Ling Xiao was resting, he was escorted to the Beast Emperor Palace by the others. This place was now in wartime state. Since the Beast Emperor had betrayed them and Little Gold was not around, the Rainbow Snake King and Platinum Tiger King were in charge. Information from all over the place was constantly being gathered. Here, they were categorized and transmitted to their ears. Ling Xiao heard the voices of the Platinum Tiger King and Rainbow Snake King several times in his sleep. He vaguely heard that they were giving him some information, but he was too tired. He could not open his eyes at all. This sleep lasted for 2 days. 2 days later, in the evening, he finally woke up. Of course, his fatigue was gone. Xiao, you're finally awake. Yu Fenghua looked at Ling Xiao worriedly. I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. After a nap, I feel so refreshed. By the way, I vaguely heard that someone was looking for me, saying that they wanted to report something. Could it be that Lotus Flower is making a move again? Ling Xiao asked anxiously. Look at you. You just woke up and you're already concerned about these things. Don't you know how to care about yourself? Yu Fenghua said angrily. I've made you worry. I'm really fine. Besides, how can I be in the mood to sleep if Lotus Flower's matter is not resolved? Only by completely eliminating this fellow can I truly have a good rest. Ling Xiao smiled. I know you're anxious, but you have to calm down. Anyway, I won't allow you to rashly send yourself to your death. Yu Fenghua said firmly, "Even if you want to go, you have to include me." Haha, I know. I know what to do. Besides, I still don't know where Lotus Flower is exactly. The graveyard of the gods might be a trap. I know what I'm doing. Ling Xiao was anxious, but he had always been able to remain calm. This made Yu Fenghua very relieved. Chapter 49:35. Now I'm worried about you. Ling Xiao knew very well that Yu Fenghua's existence was Lotus Flower's natural enemy. Lotus Flower wouldn't let Yu Fenghua off so easily. I know what you're worried about, but Xiao, don't forget that I'm not weak now. Unless Lotus Flower personally makes a move. Otherwise, who can do anything to me? Yu Fenghua smiled and said, "Moreover, I'm basically with Cold Plum now. With the two of us working together, even if Lotus Flower comes, we can escape." "That's true. You're really a treasure that makes me proud." Ling Xiao smiled and said, "Looks like I have to work hard. I have to get rid of Lotus Flower as soon as possible. That's the key problem. As long as that old thing doesn't die, the 4 regions and 9 worlds won't have peace." "Xiao, don't push yourself too hard. The disaster of the 4 regions and 9 worlds shouldn't be shouldered by you alone. This is a disaster shared by everyone. Everyone has to work hard. You can't tire yourself out." Yu Fenghua said, "I understand, but since the 4 regions and 9 worlds are under my command, I have to do my part." Ling Xiao said. Yu Fenghua wanted to say something, but at this moment the Platinum Tiger King came. "Your Majesty, you're finally awake. This is great," the Platinum Tiger King said excitedly. "Why are you looking for me?" Ling Xiao asked. After sleeping for 2 days, he probably missed a lot of important things. "Yes, there's a very important matter. I'm afraid only your Majesty can solve it." The Platinum Tiger King nodded. "Speak," Ling Xiao said. The Platinum Tiger King replied, "Now, except for the Heaven Holy Land, all the forces in the 4 regions and 9 worlds are included in the Heavenly Empire's intelligence system. Tens of thousands of intelligence reports are gathered and shared every day. It would not be easy for Lotus Flower's underlings to cause trouble. However, the problem lay in the Heavenly Holy Land. News came from the Golden City. After Supreme Emperor White Knight entered the Heaven Holy Land, there was still some feedback. But after a few days, there was no more news. Even Supreme Emperor White Knight, who was residing in the Great Emperor Palace, fell into a deep sleep. Supreme Emperor White Knight was a powerful existence that could deal with Lotus Flower. The Golden City hopes that your Majesty, the Celestial Emperor, can go and investigate. Bang! Ling Xiao suddenly stood up from the bed. His eyes were filled with deep worry. Supreme Emperor White Knight was perhaps the Supreme Emperor of the 4 domains and 9 realms whom he respected the most. This old man had trusted him from the very beginning. At that time he was still very weak. The old man did not hesitate to offend the King of Punishment to support him. Let him ascend to the throne of the Golden Emperor. He owed him a debt of gratitude. Furthermore, Supreme Emperor White Knight had also given him pointers on many martial arts problems. Even though he had yet to formally acknowledge Zhang Xian as his master, he could be considered half a master to him. Now that something had happened to him, how could Ling Xiao not worry? Moreover, Supreme Emperor White Knight was sent by him to the Heaven Holy Land to persuade the Heaven Holy Lord to join the Heavenly Dynasty Empire. He had to take care of this matter. There's also information that traces of Golden Prince were found in the Heaven Holy Land. Platinum Tiger King added, "Little Gold also went to the Heaven Holy Land? Why?" Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment before he made up his mind. Whether it was White Knight or Little Gold, he could not give up on them. Therefore, his next step was probably to go to the Heaven Holy Land. He had to completely block this gap. After all, the only place in the 4 domains and 9 realms that was not on guard against Lotus Flower was the Heaven Holy Land. "Be careful, this is a trap," Yu Fenghua reminded him. "So what if it's a trap? Even if it's a mountain of blades and a sea of flames, I have to go if my benefactor and brother have something to do. Ling Xiao smiled and stroked Yu Fenghua's hair. Don't worry, your man won't die so easily. In fact, Ling Xiao hoped that he could attract Lotus Flower's attention. This way, other places would be safe. After all, even Lotus Flower could not take care of everything. To Lotus Flower, taking back the Supreme Emperor's body was probably the most important thing for him at the moment. There's no time to lose. I have to leave immediately, Ling Xiao said, but before I leave, there are still some things to deal with. Let's hold a small meeting. Only the Rainbow Snake King, Platinum Tiger King, Cold Plum, Long Chen, Yu Fenghua, and Ling Xiao participated in this meeting. After all, this was the Beast Imperial Palace, and the powerhouses from other places could not reach it for the time being. After everyone had arrived, Ling Xiao gave the remaining 80-odd powerhouse advancement pills to Long Chen. Then he said, Long Chen, you're in charge of sending these things to the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Remember, let the 5th and 6th stage Divine Body Realm martial artists use them first. What we need now is top-notch combat power. As for the Rainbow Snake King, Platinum Tiger King, and Cold Plum, the 3 of you are in charge of guarding the Savage Beast region. Pay special attention to that Dragon Shaman. Although he doesn't have the heart to devour powerhouses yet, it seems like he's not willing to submit to my rule. Be careful of him causing trouble. Long Chen, after you're done sending the powerhouse advancement pills, go find the Dragon Shaman. Remember, leave 3 pills for him. Even if you can't rope him in, don't let him rely on Lotus Flower. Do you understand now? Understood. Everyone nodded. All right, then Fenghua, let's head to the Heaven Sacred Land immediately. The reason why Ling Xiao wanted to bring Yu Fenghua along was very simple. With the 2 of them together, Lotus Flower was more attractive. He could absorb more firepower. He believed that he could protect Yu Fenghua well. He really didn't feel at ease leaving it to others. After the meeting ended, Ling Xiao quietly left the Beast Palace and headed to the Heaven's Sacred Land through the transportation portal. The Heaven's Sacred Land was the most mysterious place in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Until now, no one knew exactly where it was. However, the Heaven's Sacred Land had a transportation portal in the chaotic sand ocean. Through there, one could reach the Heaven's Sacred Land directly. All along, the transportation portal had been guarded by powerful Divine Body Realm martial artists. Of course, in Ling Xiao's eyes, those guards were no longer a big deal. Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua first arrived at the chaotic sand ocean through the transportation portal. After a few twists and turns, they found the transportation portal of the Heaven's Sacred Land. The strange thing was that the people guarding the transportation portal weren't martial artists from the Heaven's Sacred Land. Instead, they were a few powerful undead guards. They had tall and mighty bodies, and each of them had combat power at the 5th stage Divine Body Realm. There were a total of 4 of them. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to pass through such guards. However, to Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua, it was nothing. The 2 of them worked together and killed the guards in a few moves. Then, they passed through the transportation portal. They stepped into the territory of the Heaven's Sacred Land. This place really feels like heaven. The moment Ling Xiao stepped on this land, he couldn't help but feel emotional. The scenery of the Heaven's Sacred Land was as beautiful as a painting. From time to time, they could see some rare birds and beasts running under the sky. In the dense forest, the sunlight shone down on the golden spots, making it seem extremely quiet. Chapter 49:36. As soon as Ling Xiao arrived at the Heaven's Sacred Ground, he let Yu Fenghua enter the Dongsheng Emperor Ring to rest. The 2 of them couldn't exhaust their stamina at the same time. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if they encountered a big battle. Cha! 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 Walking on the path covered with fallen leaves, Ling Xiao released his powerful soul power. Everything within a 10-mile radius was under his control. No one could compare to him in this aspect. Even the powerful lotus flower could only control an area of 2 to 3 miles. The strength of Ling Xiao's soul power was beyond common sense. Of course, soul power detection wasn't always useful. Many martial artists cultivated secret techniques to conceal their aura or change their aura waves. It would be very difficult to detect these people. There were even some terrifying assassins. When they appeared behind you, you might not even realize it. Therefore, Ling Xiao modified soul power detection, using the Tai Chi Eye as the foundation. It didn't matter how good the opponent's concealment techniques were. Once his soul power swept past them, they would be exposed immediately. Even if the assassins knew how to conceal themselves, they would at most be difficult to detect from a distance. However, once they entered a 1,000-meter radius, they wouldn't be able to escape from Ling Xiao's Tai Chi Eye and soul power. Of course, there was still a way to avoid him. That was a terrifying existence that had mastered the law of space. They could approach Ling Xiao through other spaces and suddenly appear from that space. They could attack Ling Xiao. However, based on the current information, it seemed that in the 4 regions and 9 worlds, other than Ling Xiao himself, no one else knew this magical ability. The reason why Ling Xiao could master the law of space was because of the existence of the beast god martial soul. The assassin is here! Ling Xiao didn't stop. His soul power had already accurately captured the enemy's position. It was about 1,500 meters behind him. This person was very powerful. He actually knew the earth tunneling secret technique and approached Ling Xiao from underground. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He left the demon lord's body to continue on his way while his original body went invisible. He entered the form of a shadow warrior and followed the body of the demon lord. The other party was too far away to notice that Ling Xiao had set up a trap and was waiting for the assassin to fall into it. The shadow dancer form allowed Ling Xiao to almost completely restrain his aura and enter a state of invisibility. Most martial artists would not be able to detect his existence, unless their cultivation was much stronger than his. 1,500 meters away, that person was speeding up. This was because Ling Xiao's speed wasn't too fast to begin with. He was just walking. Therefore, the distance between them was rapidly shrinking. Soon, the killer revealed a sinister sneer as his head and hands emerged from the ground. Right now, he was only 5 meters away from the demon lord's body. At this distance, as long as he attacked, he could easily kill Ling Xiao. At least, that was what the killer thought. However, just as he was about to make a move, his head was suddenly pierced by a sword. Before he could even think about what had happened, the corpse had already shriveled up. His consciousness completely disappeared. Putting away the void god's sword, Ling Xiao burned the guy's corpse. Then he took a storage ring from the other party's hand. What he could be sure of was that this guy was also an undead killer who had consumed the heart of a powerhouse. His strength had already reached the early stage of the Divine Body 6th level. If they were to face each other head-on, Ling Xiao would have to spend some time to kill him. After all, the other party was an assassin. It would be very troublesome if he kept dodging. But now he had taken care of the opponent with just one strike. This was a good strategy, using the simplest way to end the battle. However, Ling Xiao was a little worried. Undead martial artists had already appeared in the Heaven, Holy Land. Did that mean that the undead fruit tree had already been planted here? Had the heavenly palace's Holy Master joined Emperor Lien? Huaz sighed, just like the Beast Emperor? All kinds of questions lingered in his mind. However, he had to deal with the problem in front of him first. Ling Xiao recalled the demon lord's body and completely disappeared from the spot. Right now, there were 2 undead killers about 2,000 meters away. The 2 of them were about 500 meters away from each other and were communicating through soul telepathy. Scorpion, I don't understand. Just to kill a small fry with the cultivation of the Divine Body 3rd level. His Majesty actually sent us to attack at the same time. Is it really worth it? There are still many important things waiting for us to deal with. The one who spoke was a short martial artist. He was only about 1 meter tall and had a thin body. He looked like a cockroach on the outside. It should be because he had consumed the heart of a powerhouse that caused a special change in his body shape. They were all early-stage Divine Body 6th level assassins. What they wanted to do was to assassinate the higher-ups of the human race. They weren't here to deal with a small fry with the cultivation of the Divine Body 3rd level. They couldn't be blamed for this. When Lotus Flower gave the order, he didn't reveal Ling Xiao's identity. They probably wouldn't believe him, even if he did. Who would believe that a martial artist with the cultivation of the Divine Body 3rd level was actually the ruler of the 4 regions and 9 worlds? Scorpion said, "Cockroach, stop complaining. This mission shouldn't be easy. Otherwise, the Emperor wouldn't have promised us so much reward. 100 Supreme Grade Spirit Stones. How many lifetimes would we need to earn that much?" That's true. Cockroach suddenly became cautious. If the opponent was easy to deal with, why would their Emperor's son, Heavenly Fort Saint, promise so much reward? There was a need to mention this. After Heavenly Fort Saint's soul escaped from the City of Gold, he was captured by Lotus Flower. With Lotus Flower's bewitching ability and Heavenly Fort Saint's desire for revenge, the two of them agreed. They immediately came to an agreement. Heavenly Fort Saint became Lotus Flower's Emperor's son. His position was higher than Yang Fan's, even higher than Yu Chen's. This was probably the deepest reason why Yu Chen betrayed Lotus Flower. "Sure, stop the transmission. The target is here. But strange, why isn't Flea here? Didn't he say to follow that guy?" Scorpion frowned and said, "Flea, that guy, is probably hiding somewhere to slack off again. Let's not care about him. We've completed the mission, so the reward is ours." Cockroach closed his eyes and released his soul power. Within a radius of a few hundred meters, he could clearly feel the movement of the grass in the wind. He could clearly see a young man walking towards him unhurriedly. "Get ready to attack. 100 Supreme Grade Spirit Stones. How exciting." Cockroach laughed in his heart and was ready to attack. Poochie! In the next moment, Cockroach's expression froze. A sword pierced through his head. His consciousness blurred in an instant, and he didn't even have time to scream. "How can this be? Why is he behind me?" This was Cockroach's last thought before he was killed. He had clearly detected Ling Xiao's figure through his soul power, but he was still assassinated by Ling Xiao from behind. It was really strange. Fupin Chinese. Chapter 4937. Emperor Lianhua. "Oh, Emperor Lianhua, you're really looking down on me. You actually sent 3 early-stage, 6th-level divine physique echelon assassins to deal with me. Do you really think that bastard can kill me? What a joke." Ling Xiao, who used to be nervous when he met a 1st-level divine physique echelon martial artist, was now facing a 6th-level divine physique echelon martial artist. He already looked down on them. He looked in the direction 500 meters away. The other person was there. Let's deal with him first. Ling Xiao's figure disappeared again. Scorpion anxiously hid in the dark, waiting for the target to come closer. He was feeling conflicted. On one hand, he wanted to kill the target alone and get all the rewards of this mission. On the other hand, he was worried that he was not the target's match. "No, let's make a move first. I should be able to deal with him with Cockroach. If we wait for Yi Hantian to come, we won't have a share." Both Scorpion and Cockroach were martial arts geniuses from Heaven's Wall City. However, in the 4 regions and 9 worlds, they had really stumbled. Young Master Jin Xiao was killed by Ling Xiao. Yi Hantian, Lightless Sun and Moon, and Sage Tian, who had joined Lotus Flower. There were dozens of people like them, including Scorpion and Cockroach. However, Sage Tianho, Yihantian, and Lightless Sun and Moon were the most outstanding ones. In order to take the credit, Scorpion took the lead and charged at the target. However, just as he pounced, he suddenly felt a pain in his head, and his consciousness became blurry. A sharp, long sword pierced through his head and into his soul realm, making it impossible for him to call for help or inform others. He could only die while trembling. These geniuses from Heaven's Wall City are really embarrassing. Ling Xiao shook his head. They couldn't even resist the temptation of the heart of an expert. No wonder they couldn't achieve anything. Were these guys really the geniuses from Heaven's Wall City? Why did they look more and more like the descendants of those influential people? A bunch of idiotic rich kids pretending to be geniuses to trick others? Thinking about it carefully, it was possible. Otherwise, Heaven's Wall City would be too disappointing. Since there are still enemies, why don't we wait for them to show up? Ling Xiao wanted to settle this matter once and for all before heading to the holy city of heaven with a peace of mind. Otherwise, there would be a lot of trouble following behind them, which would hinder their journey. Yihantian had been defeated by him in the past. Even if he had devoured the heart of a strong cultivator, he would still be no match for him. Even if Yihantian had a helper, he still had Yu Fenghua to help him. He did not believe that he would lose. At this moment, over 10,000 meters away, 3 people were moving forward quickly. One of them was Yihantian. However, at this moment, Yihantian seemed to be someone's little brother. He followed behind an old man. This old man had 3 eyes on his head, and they emitted a fierce light. It was obvious that he was not someone to be trifled with. On the right side of the old man, there was another person whose strength was comparable to Ling Xiao's. However, Ling Xiao definitely did not know him. The 4 regions and 9 worlds were too big, and there were many experts. Even some hidden experts would not be able to resist the temptation of the heart of the strong and join Lotus Flower. It was impossible for Ling Xiao to know all of them. Yihantian and this person's cultivation had both reached the late stage of the 6th level of the divine physique echelon. The old man was even more terrifying. He had actually reached the 7th level of the divine physique echelon. Although he was still at the early stage of the 7th level of the divine physique echelon, his combat strength was still low. However, it was not easy for Ling Xiao to defeat such an expert. It was precisely because Ling Xiao had detected the existence of this expert that he decided to set up an ambush. First, he would kill Yihantian and the other person. Then, he would join forces with Yu Fenghua to deal with this old man. The battle would be much easier then. Elder Ice, that kid definitely won't be able to escape. The Scorpion and Cockroach have already set up an ambush ahead. There are also earthworms following behind. Earthworms are good at burrowing. Even if that kid is as powerful as the rumors say, it's impossible for him to escape. We're just waiting for you to take down that kid. Yihantian said with a smile. Elder Ice nodded and did not say anything else. This old man's ice divine origin made Yihantian, who was close to him, feel an incomparably cold aura. Even his voice was a little shaky. Since Elder Ice did not say anything, he did not dare to say anything else. The 3 of them were extremely fast. The distance of tens of thousands of meters was covered in the blink of an eye. Strange. This should be the place where the Scorpion and Cockroach are lying in ambush. They wouldn't have let that kid pass through, right? When the 3 of them arrived, they were very surprised. According to the original plan, after the Scorpion, Cockroach, and Earthworms joined forces, they would first delay Ling Xiao. When they arrived, they would join forces to kill him. However, there was a problem now. Look around, Elder Ice ordered. Yes. Yihantian and the other expert spread out. However, in an instant, a sword light suddenly appeared in the void. Chi! The late-stage 6th level divine physique echelon expert's head was instantly pierced. His body also stiffened there. Blood spurted out. Because this sword was too fast Elder Ice and Yi Hantian did not have any reaction at all. Ling Xiao! Yi Hantian saw the fear and anger in Ling Xiao's eyes. However, Ling Xiao only sneered. The reverse god sword in his hand shook slightly and pierced toward Yi Hantian. Moreover, he used the reverse god art's 6-word style right off the bat. 6 sword lights moved violently, blocking Yi Hantian's chance to dodge from different angles. The only thing Yi Hantian could do was to resist with all his might. Elder Ice had already reacted at this time, but unfortunately it was still too late. He could only watch helplessly as the 6 streaks of sword light tore Yi Hantian apart. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them became one. The martial artists who assassinated this time could not help but be called experts. The 6 experts each had their own strengths. However, Ling Xiao had discovered them in advance and struck first to gain the upper hand, killing 5 of the 6 fellows. Only Elder Ice was left. The reason why Ling Xiao did not choose Elder Ice for a sneak attack was not because he did not dare to. Instead, it was because he wanted to keep Elder Ice to continue helping him with his cultivation advancement. Elder Ice's strength was probably stronger than Yang Fan's, so at the very least he should be able to increase the energy in his cultivation by 10 to 20%, although it was not much. However, every breakthrough was accumulated bit by bit. Bastard, go to hell! Seeing his teammates being killed, Elder Ice was powerless. This made him furious. Elder Ice punched out from a distance of hundreds of meters. Boom! A strange thing happened. The places where Elder Ice's fist wind reached were all covered with a thick layer of ice. In the distance, they were shattered by the impact of the fist wind. This power was really strong. However, in the next moment, a figure rushed out of the smoke and dust. It was Ling Xiao. This gave Elder Ice a fright. Although that punch just now could not be said to be his full strength, it was still a strike filled with hatred. He clearly saw Ling Xiao being frozen by the fist force. However, the strange thing was that Ling Xiao did not show any signs of being cold when he broke out of the ice, not to mention being injured. This did not make sense. Even if it was an expert of the same cultivation level, it would be impossible for him to be unscathed under this punch. Chapter 4938. Elder Ice was only making a fuss because he was inexperienced. If he had witnessed the scene of Ling Xiao killing Lotus Flower and Yang Fan with his own eyes, he would definitely not be so surprised. Ling Xiao's strength might be much stronger than he had imagined. Ice Corp's divine technique. Seeing Ling Xiao charging over again, his sword technique incomparably sharp and his speed extremely fast, Elder Ice was certain that he would not be able to defeat Ling Xiao. Elder Bing believed that he could not match up to Ling Xiao in terms of speed and could not escape unscathed. At that moment, his experience told him that it was better to attack at this moment. The Ice Corp's divine technique he was using was his unique technique. Not only was its defense extremely strong, it could also instantly harden the body apart from the joints, making the attack extremely terrifying. His icicle-like palm suddenly pierced toward Ling Xiao's head. It was clear that he wanted to meet Ling Xiao head-on. One had to admit that this old fellow was really a terrifying person. If it were anyone else, they would definitely choose to protect themselves first. However, he chose to fight with his life on the line. This was because his past experience told him that this was definitely the wisest choice. He believed that after this attack, Ling Xiao's injuries would definitely be more serious than his. The Void God sword pierced Elder Ice's head. However, in the next moment, Ling Xiao was also hit by Elder Ice's palm. His head was also hit. At that moment, Ling Xiao chose to retreat. He used the Holy Ground demonic shadow to reduce a lot of the damage. In addition, he already had a strong physical body. Elder Ice's attack did not cause much damage to him, but his forehead was still bleeding and the wound was not shallow. Ice Corp's divine technique? What a powerful defensive technique. Today, I've finally met someone whose defense is on par with mine. Ling Xiao's wound was rapidly healing. As he retreated, he kept staring at Elder Ice. This old fellow seemed to be wrapped in a layer of ice crystals. His defense was extremely strong. It was comparable to the defense of an emperor weapon with 10 dragon patterns. It did not seem like a human's body at all. Ling Xiao frowned. Elder Ice's frown deepened. At this moment, he even regretted the choice he had just made. The Ice Corpse Divine art was the most powerful martial art he had ever cultivated. He had always been proud of it. In the past, he had relied on this Ice Corpse Divine art to defeat Yang Fan, which made the Lotus Flower think highly of him. That was why he was sent to assassinate Ling Xiao. But this time his Ice Corpse Divine art was almost broken. Ling Xiao's reverse god sword pierced through his head, just a hair's breadth away from his soul realm. The effects of the Void God's sword were not limited to just that scar. Most importantly, this sword absorbed a lot of his divine essence away. Elder Ice did not dare to imagine what would have happened if Ling Xiao had not retreated and instead continued to stab. If that happened, he might really die. Of course, the other party might also die. That wouldn't be exchanging injuries for injuries, but exchanging lives for lives. That was not what he wanted. I can't let this kid's sword touch my head again or I'll die. The ice-cold wound was also rapidly healing. The benefits of the undead body were fully displayed at this moment. I can't fight this old guy head-on. Not only is this guy's defense extremely strong, but his attack power is also extremely strong. In the past, I relied on my defense and was not afraid of the other party's attacks. But this time, if I'm hit by this old guy's attack, I'll really die. Ling Xiao stared at Elder Ice from afar. He discovered that this old guy's body did not have a single flaw. He sighed with emotion. He had clearly encountered a true expert this time. Interesting, but I don't believe that you can always maintain a flawless state. Ling Xiao did not dare to attack rashly, so he prepared to change his strategy. Shadow Warrior. Ling Xiao instantly disappeared from where he was. The distant forest rustled as if someone was running past. He escaped. Elder Ice almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. He was about to go all out to kill Ling Xiao, and even deliberately showed weakness in order to lure Ling Xiao into attacking. Who knew that Ling Xiao would actually escape? The strategy that he had prepared was completely useless. It was as if he had punched the air and almost flashed himself, looking at the 2 shriveled corpses on the ground. Elder Ice's eyes became more and more angry and cold. These 2 people were the geniuses that Lotus Flower had taken a fancy to and was prepared to train well. So he had brought them out to gain experience. In the end, they were killed before they could do anything. How should he explain it when he returned? Forget it, I'd better leave first. Ling Xiao's target is the sacred city of heaven. I just need to chase after him. Elder Ice thought for a moment, then rose into the air. He was 100 meters away from the forest. This was because of his caution. He had a feeling that Ling Xiao would not be a guy who would escape so easily. He would definitely be thinking about how to deal with him. If he let his guard down, then he might end up the same as Yi Hantian. Ling Xiao was good at hiding, but in an empty place, no matter how strong his hiding ability was, it would be exposed due to the difference in the surrounding elemental fluctuations. Elder Ice believed that he would be able to find out. Boom! The most depressing scene appeared. Elder Ice had planned everything well, but just as he rose into the air, a fist suddenly fell from the sky. The power of this punch was extremely terrifying. It hit Elder Ice and made him fall to the ground. The ground cracked several times in a row. If Elder Ice had not entered the state of Ice Corpse Divine art in advance and prepared a good defense, this blow would have shattered all his bones. In the void, a figure appeared. It was Ling Xiao who had already entered the beast god body. There should have been no one there. It was just a white cloud. Who would have thought that the attack would actually come from that position. TSK, this old guy's defense is really strong. It seems that I have to use a sword to deal with him. The damage of blunt weapons or fists is not enough. Ling Xiao felt a little regretful that he could not kill the enemy in one move. Bastard, stinking brat, come out and fight if you have the ability. What kind of hero are you to hide your head and show your tail? Elder Ice jumped out of the deep pit. His 2 eyes were as wide as copper bells as he angrily roared at the sky. But at this time, Ling Xiao disappeared once again. Like a ghost, he was deliberately playing with him. No one answered, which made Elder Ice even angrier. Bastard, just you wait. If this old man catches you, I will definitely skin you alive. There was no place to vent his anger. The surrounding trees suffered as a result. The ice shards froze all the trees within a 100-meter radius into ice sculptures. Time passed slowly. More than 20 minutes had passed. In these 20 minutes, Elder Ice could only vent his anger on the spot. Because every time he wanted to leave, he would be attacked by Ling Xiao, who would suddenly appear. There were few times when he was almost seriously injured. Ling Xiao, this guy, would retreat with a single strike every time. He would not linger in the battle. Until now, Elder Ice did not even know where Ling Xiao was hiding. If it were an ordinary person, they would have been driven crazy. However, Elder Ice was Elder Ice. Even under such circumstances, he still maintained his fighting spirit. But even he had to admit that if he did not find a way to break it, he would be played to death by Ling Xiao today. Chapter 49-39. Swoosh! In the air, the sound of a sharp blade attacking came. Elder Ice did not even look and subconsciously blasted out a palm. The tyrannical ice divine essence spread out, and countless trees were directly shattered into pieces. It was as if it was hailstones, but there was no one. Elder Ice's brows instantly furrowed even tighter. In the darkness, Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His attack was both real and fake, in order to give Elder Ice the illusion that the wolf was coming. There would be a time when a flaw would be exposed. To be honest, Elder Ice was the most adept at defense and attack among the powerhouses he had encountered so far. In this aspect, he was even more formidable than the Eternal Heavenly Emperor. Perhaps his overall strength was inferior to the Eternal Heavenly Emperor, but just in terms of attack and defense skills, he was absolutely one in a million. Ling Xiao simply treated Elder Ice as an alchemy stone to hone his combat skills. Over 20 minutes passed, his god-defying Art 6 word style had already successfully advanced to proficiency. The power was much greater than before. Under the high-intensity pressure, the energy in his cultivation also increased by 10%. Now, it was already 60%. In the eyes that flickered with a will-o'-the-wisp light, cold killing intent seeped out. Elder Ice did not panic because of Ling Xiao's strategy. The old fellow still maintained a high degree of concentration, throwing himself into the battle wholeheartedly. Even if an ant crawled past nearby, he could clearly know. At the very beginning, he had even hoped that the scorpion, cockroach, and worm could help. But now he already understood that those 3 people were probably also killed by the other party in this way. An assassin being assassinated instead, speaking of which, it was really quite shameful. But this was reality. Brat, do you think this old man is a fledgling novice? This old man has also encountered more dangerous situations than this before. Want to kill me with just this bit of trick? Simply daydreaming. Before Elder Ice defected to Lotus Flower, he was a reclusive expert in the Frost astral realm. His age was already close to 500 years old, reaching the age where he was about to die of old age. Indeed, his experience was very rich. There was no doubt about this. In the continuous exchange of blows, he also went from being extremely uncomfortable at the very beginning to completely adapting now. Each time Ling Xiao launched a sneak attack, he could block it exquisitely. He didn't believe that Ling Xiao could last longer than him. Another 10 minutes passed. It was already noon, the time when the scarlet sun was the most dazzling. The scorching sunlight shone into the dense forest, leaving behind a mottled scene. There was a strong sense of oppression in the air. Suddenly, together with Qi Yang's light, a dazzling sword light burst out. Scram! Elder Bing snorted coldly. An icy aura condensed on his hands and enveloped his palms. It suddenly collided with the sword light. Bang! This collision only left a small wound on Elder Ice's arm. Ling Zhao's figure disappeared once again, and his aura was completely gone. This guy seems to be wearing gloves. Is it a treasure made of heavenly silk? It felt like it was a 9-dragon inscription's monarch weapon. No wonder I couldn't pierce through it. Ling Zhao's plan could have succeeded. Actually, the other party couldn't react in time to the sudden burst of sunlight. However, he didn't expect his opponent to be wearing gloves with 9 dragon patterns on them. The gloves couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Humph, since I know, you're not far from being finished. Ling Zhao snorted coldly. His figure turned into a ghost and appeared near Elder Bing. Demonic Ox Fist. The violent Demonic Ox Fist had a much larger attack range than sword techniques. Everything within 100 meters of where Elder Bing was standing was sent flying. Elder Bing himself was sent flying as well. No chance? Don't tell me I can't create one myself? Ling Zhao sneered. He activated the Holy Ground demonic shadow and turned into several afterimages that pounced on Elder Bing. The afterimages released by his Holy Ground demonic shadow were difficult to distinguish between real and fake. If one didn't have a special eye technique, it would be impossible to identify them. No matter which one is real, I'll just destroy them all. Elder Bing was injured by the attack just now. However, with the Ice Corp's divine technique activated, Elder Bing's defense was extremely strong. That attack had a limited effect on him. Therefore, when he stood up, he unleashed a large-scale attack. With him as the center, dense icicles were released in a fan-shaped area in front of him. Dozens of afterimages were frozen and destroyed by the icicles. They dissipated into divine essence and drifted in the air. Whoosh! At that moment, a sword light suddenly pierced out from the ground. Elder Bing sneered and blasted the attack he had long prepared into the ground. Do you think this old man is a fool? I've seen through your scheme long ago. Go to hell. Boom! The all-out attack caused the ground to sink. No matter who it was inside, they would probably die. However, after this attack, Elder Bing felt a chill run down his spine. An unprecedented sense of danger arose in his heart. He subconsciously tilted his head. It was this tilt that saved his life. The sharp sword pierced through Elder Bing's head from behind. Unfortunately, it didn't touch his soul realm. Elder Bing thought he had understood Ling Zhao. However, he didn't know that the habitual attack was just a performance that Ling Zhao had deliberately put on for him to see. This time, the sudden change in attack pattern had completely tricked Elder Bing. He had almost died. The attack from the ground was just the demon sovereign's Dong Sheng demonic sword. The instant Elder Bing unleashed his move, Ling Zhao withdrew the demon sovereign's body. At that moment, his original body attacked from behind. Unfortunately, Elder Bing's combat experience was too rich. In the end, he relied on this rich experience to preserve his life and prevent Ling Zhao from killing him. Bastard, complete frozen corpse king. Elder Bing was furious because he had almost been killed. At that moment, Ling Zhao's Void God sword was still in his head. If he didn't do something, he would definitely die. Therefore, Elder Bing made a decision in that instant. He completely turned himself into an undead and even gave away his soul. Although Elder Bing had already become an undead monster, he still had his original consciousness. But now, the complete frozen corpse king had completely lost his original consciousness. The only thoughts left were battle and cannibalism. However, losing these also brought about an explosion of combat strength. A terrifying chill actually froze the Void God's sword, preventing Ling Xiao from doing anything. In the next moment, Elder Bing's fist slammed into Ling Xiao's body. Even though Ling Xiao had dodged quickly enough, he felt that at least 4 of his ribs had broken. He spat out blood, and his face instantly turned pale. Die, 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 die. The furious Elder Bing didn't intend to give Ling Xiao any chance. In an instant, he appeared in front of Ling Xiao again. His hands suddenly stabbed toward Ling Xiao's head. At that moment, his hands had fingernails that were a foot long and incomparably sharp. If he was stabbed, even Ling Xiao wouldn't have a good time. In the midst of danger, Ling Xiao displayed his usual calmness. He didn't panic because he was in danger. Chapter 4940. Cosmic Divine Fist. Time stop! At that moment, time stopped abruptly. Ling Xiao's figure finally escaped Elder Bing's attack. Speaking of which, this was the first time he used time stop to escape. This time it was really dangerous. After becoming stronger, Elder Bing transformed into the Ice Corpse King. Time stop only lasted for a pitiful second. Seeing Ling Xiao escape, Elder Bing angrily opened his mouth and spat out a cold current. The crazy cold current completely froze the elements along the way. Void shattering finger, shatter the void. As Ling Xiao retreated, he pointed his finger, and the cold current was torn apart along with the space it was in. Nothing was left. F***CK. Just as he broke the opponent's attack, Ling Xiao realized that the entire space was shaking. He looked at Elder Bing and was really shocked. Elder Bing had actually frozen the elements in a large area, causing the air to become solid. Then he suddenly tore with both hands and ruthlessly smashed at Ling Xiao. As expected, your combat strength has skyrocketed. Unfortunately, your intelligence has decreased, so your entire body is full of flaws. Ling Xiao smiled and used the earth-crossing golden light technique to avoid the attack. You're not much different from a monster now. What a pity. If you were the previous you, I might be afraid. But you're not that dangerous to me now that you've lost your intelligence. Sneering in his heart, Ling Xiao suddenly appeared behind Elder Bing. A sword ray shot out. Roar! Elder Bing let out a shrill scream. However, this voice didn't sound like a human's at all. It sounded more like a monster. The wound is too shallow. Ling Xiao sighed. Although he had hit a vital point, his opponent's defense was even more terrifying than before. Even the reverse god sword couldn't completely penetrate. Ordinary people wouldn't think of anything else when they were injured and screaming. However, while the Ice Corpse King was shrieking, it was also launching a counterattack. Its body twisted in a way that completely defied the laws of physics. It opened its mouth and bit Ling Xiao's neck. Fortunately, Ling Xiao had already activated the Sun God's Blood Fiend Array and instantly turned into a golden light to escape. Otherwise, he would really have been bitten by this guy. Although the old thing has lost his mind, he has become even more ferocious. His combat instincts had also become stronger, and his reaction speed was simply too fast. Furthermore, his attributes in all aspects had been greatly improved. He's not as easy to deal with as I thought. Although Ling Xiao had said that the other party had lost his mind and was now easier to deal with, Ling Xiao was still confident in his abilities. These words were not false, because the other party was indeed full of openings. But the problem was that Elder Bing's high instincts made up for these flaws, turning him into a monster born for battle. Roar! With a furious roar, Elder Bing once again pounced towards Ling Xiao. His sharp, ice-like fingernails flickered with a piercing cold light under the scarlet sunlight. The wounds on his body had completely healed. We can't fight recklessly. Ling Xiao was very clear that as long as Elder Bing hit him once, he would be seriously injured. If he had been hit in the head, he might have died on the spot. Therefore, techniques were still important in a battle. Dragon God Frost Array Diagram. The second array diagram was released and Elderbing, who was flying over, suddenly stiffened. Ling Xiao had originally been worried that the ice would be ineffective against this old fellow, but now it seemed that this was not the case. Even though Elderbing was also proficient in using ice divine essence and possessed an ice martial soul, inside this ice array diagram, he would still be affected. It was just that this effect would be reduced. However, this was already enough. The instant Elderbing was frozen, he stabbed out with the Void God sword. His target was still Elderbing's head. This was because the head was the vital point of this group of fellows. Crack! At that moment, a pair of arms formed from ice crystals actually grew out of Elderbing's body. It was this pair of arms that blocked the Void God sword. And this was not the end. Another pair of arms grew out and firmly grasped Ling Xiao's body, making it impossible for Ling Xiao to escape. This was really too unexpected. Who would have thought that this Ice Corpse King would actually evolve at a critical moment? Another 4 arms grew out of it. Or perhaps he had these 4 arms from the beginning, and only grew them out when he was in danger? No matter what the reason was, Ling Xiao was currently being restrained. He struggled with all his might, but he discovered that these 4 pairs of arms were extremely powerful. With his strength, he could not break free at all. Since he could not break free, Ling Xiao simply gave up. He even let go of the Void God sword in his right hand. At the same time, the Crimson Blood Demon's sword appeared in his right hand. His left hand formed the Ox Demon Fist. The 2 attacks erupted at the same time. The Crimson Blood Demon sword cut off the 2 arms that were holding the Void God sword. In terms of sharpness, the Crimson Blood Demon sword was indeed stronger than the Void God sword. At the same time, the Ox Demon Fist blasted out. The Ice Corpse King spat out blood. At such a close distance, the Ice Corpse King could not dodge at all. Ling Xiao had done this to escape, but he did not expect the Ice Corpse King to react so quickly. The 2 arms that had been cut off instantly grew out and grabbed at Ling Xiao again. The mouth bit at Ling Xiao's throat again. Do you think I let you succeed? Hell, Nightmare, Beast Soul, Nightmare Moment. A martial soul's special skill that he had not used in a long time was suddenly unleashed. In that instant, the Ice Corpse King fell into a deep sleep. However, the Ice Corpse King was really strong. Even after being hit by Ling Xiao's attack, he was still resisting. He was about to wake up. Ling Xiao took advantage of this opportunity to stab the Void God sword into his head. The moment he touched his skin, the Ice Corpse King woke up. His furious fist sent Ling Xiao flying again. Ling Xiao lay on the ground, unable to get up for a long time. His injuries were too severe, and he could not continue fighting. However, what was worth rejoicing over was that even with such a heavy injury, his cultivation C's energy had increased to 70%. Most importantly, at the risk of being beaten to death, he still managed to stab the Void God sword into his opponent's head. At that moment, the Ice Corpse King's body gradually returned to normal. He lay on the ground, facing the sky. There was no sign of life. Feng Hua, feed me a healing pill. Ling Xiao could only move his mouth at this moment. The rest of his body could not move. Why didn't you let me come out to help? If we worked together, it would have been easier to kill the Ice Corpse King who had lost his mind. You, Feng Hua complained. I was just trying to increase my strength as soon as possible. Besides, with you here, I'm not afraid of being killed. Ling Xiao laughed. The reason he dared to risk his life was because Yu Fenghua was here. You only know that you're crazy. Have you never thought that I would be frightened and worried? Yu Fenghua sighed. Ever since she met Ling Xiao, she knew that Ling Xiao was a madman when it came to cultivation, leaping ranks to challenge powerhouses. That was simply a common occurrence. However, after every serious injury, his strength would increase. This was probably one of the reasons why Ling Xiao's cultivation speed was so terrifying. Chapter 49-41. Lotus Flower won't only send these few people to take back the Dizun body. It's better to leave as soon as possible. It's not safe here. After Ling Xiao could move again, he disappeared into the forest with you, Fanghua. The scene was a mess, and there were still traces of the battle from before. Those who didn't know would think that two terrifying beasts were fighting here. Gradually, the sky turned dark. The silent forest seemed even more eerie and terrifying. Suddenly, a strange beast roar came from afar, breaking the silence of the night. However, this sound made the already terrifying atmosphere even scarier. After a while, a huge shadow appeared under the moonlight. If someone was here, they would definitely see that the thing flying in the sky under the moonlight was actually a huge bat. The bat's eyes were burning with ghostly fire. It emitted an extremely ferocious aura. The bat spread its wings over 100 meters. The terrifying aura it emitted made the beasts in the forest tremble. And on the head of such a ferocious beast, there was actually a person sitting cross-legged. He was dressed in a black robe, and his face was pale. His ears were sharp and long. "Little brother, who killed you? I'll definitely tear him into pieces." The crazy roar resounded in the silent forest. The plants on the ground were also shattered by his roar, turning into ashes that were blown away by the wind. This person was originally Elder Ice's sworn brother, and he was called Elder Blood. They lived a hidden life together in the ice astral boundary. This time, after joining Lotus Flower, they came out together again. It was just that the mission was different. When he passed by here earlier, he felt a strong aura of death in the air, and one of them was very familiar. It was his sworn brother, Elder Ice, who was known as the Ice Corpse King. That was why he roared furiously. "Oh no, I'm so unlucky to have met this guy." There was a person hiding in the forest. He was a Heaven Holy Land 5th level divine body echelon powerhouse. He was here to investigate the situation of the battle here. Who knew that he would meet Elder Blood? From his aura, he knew that he was definitely not Elder Blood's match. So he hid in the dark and didn't move. However, his concealment skills couldn't compare to Ling Xiao's. Elder Blood sneered and suddenly looked over. The man was shocked and hurriedly used his movement technique, turning into an afterimage as he fled. His speed had been raised to the limit. He hoped that he could escape from the devil's claws. However, a figure soon appeared in front of him. It was a Batman with wings on his back. In other words, he was a warrior with a bat martial soul. However, his body exuded an aura of death. "Undead creatures, I don't have time for you right now. Get out of my way." The peak stage 5th level divine physique echelon expert brazenly pulled out his saber and slashed it down. The air was distorted and collapsed because of this. The violent saber chi enveloped the Batman in front of him. However, what he didn't expect was that the Batman was stronger than him. Just one claw was enough to knock him unconscious. The moment his consciousness disappeared, he knew he was in trouble. Now that he had fallen into the hands of these undead, could he still pray for a good outcome? "Lord Bloodbat King, how should we deal with this guy?" The Batman looked at Elder Blood on the giant bat and asked, "This is a good material. Of course, we'll refine him into a bat guard." Elder Blood sneered and looked at the unconscious peak stage 5th level divine physique echelon expert. "I only have 4 bat guards now. If I gather 7, I'll be able to use the 7-star evil spirit formation. I have to work harder. This Heavenly Hall Holy Land is really a treasure land. There are many strong martial artists here." After speaking, he and the bat guard disappeared into the void at the same time. The night fell silent once again, as if nothing had happened. After Ling Xiao and Yu Fanghua left the battle scene, they stayed in a small city near the Heaven's Sanctuary. He couldn't enter the Heaven's Sanctuary rashly. He felt that he should check out the situation first. Moreover, he did need to rest after suffering such serious injuries. Although he was anxious to save Bai Yi and find little gold, Some things couldn't be rushed. Being anxious might result in a lose-lose situation. This city has a teleportation formation that leads to the outside of the Heaven Sanctuary. However, it's a little troublesome. The Heaven Sanctuary has already issued an order that it's currently under martial law. No one is allowed to enter the Heaven Sanctuary without permission. Yu Fanghua went out to inquire about some things and just returned. All right, I got it. You should rest first. We'll talk about this tomorrow. If we can't make them give way, then we can only barge in. No matter what, we have to enter the Heaven Sanctuary. Ling Xiao would be able to recover tonight. Tomorrow would be a crucial day. Yu Fanghua nodded and went to rest on the bed at the side. Ling Xiao started to check his gains. The 6 undead assassins that tried to assassinate him this time weren't simple. 5 of them were geniuses from the Heaven's Wall City. One of them was a hidden expert from the Icy Star boundary. He believed that these people must have some treasures on them. As for healing his injuries, there was no need for that. After eating the healing pill, his body would recover by itself. He didn't need to do anything. Soil worm, cockroach, and scorpion actually had more than 30 supreme-grade spirit stones in their storage rings. Ling Xiao was very thirsty for supreme-grade spirit stones now. After all, it was best to use supreme-grade spirit stones if he wanted to increase the power of the formation. High-grade spirit stones weren't enough. Also, regardless of whether it was cultivation or breaking through, spirit stones were required every time. For a divine physique echelon realm martial artist, every breakthrough would require a corresponding supreme-grade spirit stone. From the first level to the second level, 2 would be required. From the second level to the third level, 4 would be required. So on and so forth, 8 would be required for the 4th level. This wasn't a small number for an ordinary martial artist. However, the number of supreme-grade spirit stones that Ling Xiao needed to consume was 10 times more than others. In other words, to break through from the 3rd level to the 4th level, he would need at least 80 supreme-grade spirit stones. Although the improvement brought by a breakthrough was much greater than others, the consumption of resources was similarly more. Fortunately, he had obtained some supreme-grade spirit stones from Yongfan previously. In addition, he had some in stock. Otherwise, it would be awkward. Yi Hantian and the other late-stage 6th-level divine physique echelon martial artist had more supreme-grade spirit stones. The 2 of them had a total of 50 supreme-grade spirit stones. Moreover, both of them had an emperor weapon with 9 dragon patterns. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate to feed it to the Void God sword. After all, an emperor weapon with 9 dragon patterns was nothing to him. What he needed was an emperor weapon with more than 10 dragon patterns. Also, these 5 people had some random items in their storage rings. Some of them could be sold for money. Some of them could be used to refine medicine. They were all pretty good. Finally, Ling Xiao took out Elder Bing's storage ring. This old man had lived for close to 500 years. He must have a lot of good stuff on him. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 4942. It was a pity that Elder Bing's storage ring was probably only 1/10 of his wealth. There were about 100 pieces of supreme-grade spirit stones. There were also some secret manuals, including the Ice Corpse divine technique. It turned out that he already knew this technique before he ate the heart of a powerhouse. It was just that he could unleash more power after eating the heart of a powerhouse. The Ice Corpse divine technique doesn't mean much to me. Ling Xiao kept the secret manual and prepared to give it to a more suitable martial artist to cultivate. Anyway, there were countless geniuses in the Heavenly Empire, so there would definitely be one suitable for cultivation. After checking his spoils of war, Ling Xiao closed his eyes and started to rest. The various scenes of the battle replayed in his mind, and every move and style was incomparably clear. After comprehending for an entire night, Ling Xiao's 6-word style of the god-defying art had successfully advanced to greater mastery when the sun rose. He could also start cultivating the 7-word style of the god-defying art. Ling Xiao was really looking forward to what kind of miraculous changes would occur after cultivating the god-defying art to the 10th count. In any case, he felt that this god-defying art was really not simple. On the second day, Ling Xiao brought Yu Fenghua to the teleportation array. It was said that the guards of the teleportation array were the subordinates of the Taurus constellation Gold Saint. This city also belonged to the Taurus constellation Gold Saint. Therefore, most of the martial artists in this city had bull-type martial souls. Their physiques were generally stronger. Their strength was shocking. As the Taurus Gold Saint martial artists did not stay here often, there were usually only Bronze and Silver Saint martial artists here. The strongest among the Silver Saint was the city lord of the city, and his strength was roughly at the peak of the 4th level of the divine physique echelon. His strength was comparable to the normal kings of the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Therefore, Ling Xiao was definitely not afraid of this guy. If the other party did not give him face, he would just use force. Bai Yi went missing in the heavenly sacred city. He was here today to denounce him. Of course, if the other party cooperated, he did not want to make everyone look bad. After all, he still hoped that the martial artists of the heavenly sacred city could unite. This way, they would be able to deal with the lotus flower even more effectively. When Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua approached the teleportation portal, Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua were shocked. Naturally, the city lord of Golden Bull City had already discovered them. The entrance of the teleportation array was heavily guarded. There were over 10,000 people, and all of them were experts. All of them were divine physique echelon experts. Seems like this heaven holy land is way stronger than I had imagined. No wonder it's so mysterious. Is he trying to hide the truth of his strength? Ling Xiao frowned. The number of divine physique echelon martial artists had already exceeded his imagination. These people were all wearing metal armor. There were black iron, bronze, silver, and some other special colors. Generally speaking, the Silver Saint martial artists were the strongest. Those martial artists with special colors should have special abilities and abilities. Ling Xiao didn't know the city, lord of Golden Bull City. However, what confused and surprised him was that there were actually 4 Silver Saint martial artists at the 5th level of the divine physique echelon, although none of them had reached the peak. This level of strength was already very terrifying. One must know that in the 4 regions and 9 worlds, only supremacy kings could reach the peak of the 5th level of the divine physique echelon. Ling Xiao originally thought that the 12 Gold Saint martial artists corresponded to the supremacy kings. However, from the looks of it, there seemed to be some discrepancy. Moreover, these people didn't look like they had swallowed the hearts of powerhouses. They were still normal humans. There must be something wrong with everything. Ling Xiao felt that some unexpected changes might have happened before they realized it. Just as he was deep in thought, one of the Silver Saint martial artists spoke. "The 2 of you, please wait. The Heaven Holy City is currently under martial law. All foreign martial artists are not allowed to enter." These words were still considered polite. They didn't say that they wanted to kill. Therefore, Ling Xiao explained to them politely. "Everyone, I'm Ling Xiao, the Gold Supreme Emperor of the Gold Sky region. A few days ago, our Supreme Emperor of the White Night entered the Heaven Holy City and disappeared. I'm here to look for him. Please let me through." Ling Xiao's words were very polite, but there was an unquestionable tone. Supreme Emperor of the Gold Supreme Emperor? Supreme Emperor of the White Night? Haha, we've never heard of it. I guess those forces below called themselves that. How pitiful and laughable. If the divine light God allows it, our heaven holy land can destroy the entire 4 regions and 9 worlds in a day and become the true overlord. Do you really think that you're something? Hurry up and get lost. Before we change our attitude, don't provoke us. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. The Silver Saint martial artist laughed wildly. Hearing the laughter of the Silver Saint martial artist, Ling Xiao suddenly realized something. At the Gathering of Heroes, he had seen the Heaven Holy Master and the 12 Gold Saint martial artists with his own eyes. However, at that time, those people weren't abnormally strong. Then, there was only one explanation. If the Heaven Holy Land's martial artists were missing something and left the Heaven Holy Land's territory, their strength would decrease. Could it be that the Divine Light God really existed? He had always thought that the Divine Light God was just an illusory figure that the Heaven Holy Land's martial artists worshipped. It was impossible for him to exist in reality. However, today he didn't think so anymore. The Divine Light God might really exist. He was either an expert from the Eternal Life Divine Nation or an ancient race expert. After understanding this point, Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, "I'll remember your mockery. However, I don't want to have a conflict with the Heaven Holy Land right now. Why don't you let me meet with your Holy Lord? Otherwise, even if I have to barge in today, I'll barge into the Heaven Holy City." Ha ha ha, brothers, did you hear that? This trash at the 3rd level of the Divine Physique Echelon dares to say that he wants to barge into the Heaven Holy City? Does he know what he's saying? The Silver Saint martial artist laughed wildly. The others also joined in the commotion. Ling Xiao knew that there was no point in wasting his breath. "Since you're so stubborn, then I'll have to offend you." He suddenly made his move and instantly appeared in front of the Silver Saint martial artist. The Silver Saint martial artist couldn't even react. He was directly grabbed by Ling Xiao. His entire body was sore and powerless. He couldn't exert any strength at all. "Get out of the way, or I'll kill him," Ling Xiao said coldly. "Don't doubt my determination, and don't doubt my cruelty. Don't do it. We'll just give way." Those people who were flaunting their prowess just now were really quick to compromise. Perhaps this was the deterrence brought about by strength. Ling Xiao easily took down the strongest person among them. Then it wouldn't be too difficult for him to kill them. They definitely wouldn't be able to stop him. Instead of sacrificing themselves for nothing, it was better to just compromise. This wasn't a difficult decision to make. Very well. Ling Xiao didn't want to start a massacre here. He directly threw the person in his hand out. He wasn't afraid that the other party would go back on their words, because if he could capture this person once, he could do it a second time. To him, it wasn't difficult at all. Chapter 49-43. The martial artists of Golden Bull City did not make things difficult for Ling Xiao anymore. In other words, they did not have the guts to continue making things difficult for Ling Xiao. In fact, many people in the Heaven's Sacred Land knew the name Ling Xiao. At the very least, the city lord of Golden Bull City had heard of him. If he didn't know about the existence that had killed the Eternal Emperor, then he would appear to be too ignorant and ill-informed. "Guest, in order to complete the task, I hope you can take out something that can prove your identity." "Thank you." The tone of these martial artists became much more respectful. Ling Xiao waved his hand, and 36 primordial blood jade talismans appeared in the air. That terrifying pressure almost made the martial artists of the Heaven Sacred Land kneel down. "Is this okay?" Ling Xiao asked. "Golden Supreme Emperor, quickly put away your divine ability. We know that you are real." The primordial blood jade talismans were emperor artifacts with 10 dragon patterns and were filled with terrifying pressure. In addition, Ling Xiao deliberately intimidated these people and injected his aura into them. Many of these people could not withstand it and fell to the ground on the spot. Ling Xiao smiled and put away the primordial blood jade talismans. He looked at the crowd proudly and said, "Do I not need to prove myself now?" There's no need. The leading martial artist's forehead was covered in cold sweat. In fact, they already knew that Ling Xiao had killed the Eternal Emperor. In this world, the most difficult thing to hide was news. All right, please make way, Ling Xiao said lightly. As long as the other party did not obstruct him, he would not bother to do anything. Golden Supreme Emperor, please follow me. The leading Silver Supreme Emperor hurriedly led Ling Xiao and Yu Fanghua to the teleportation array. At this moment, he no longer had any intention of obstructing them. Even if Ling Xiao was really here to cause trouble, he should let the experts of the Heaven Sacred City deal with him. They would not die in vain. Goodbye. Stepping into the transmission array, Ling Xiao waved at the cultivators of Golden Bull City. After a moment of darkness, he appeared in front of the gates of the Holy City of Heaven. The style of the Holy City of Heaven was completely different from the other powers in the 9 worlds. It was no wonder that even the martial artists of the Heaven Holy Land were somewhat different from the other forces. They were more like the Blue Eyes clan of the Heavenly Dragon Continent. Their hair colors were mostly gold, gray, and silver white. There were also black ones, but not many. The Heavenly Saint City was probably the smallest among the 13 powers in the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Because it was built on a floating island, it couldn't be too big. But to be honest, it wasn't much smaller. Basically, it was about half of the City of Gold. It was said that the population here was in the tens of millions. Just the population of one city was already quite large. When Ling Xiao stood in front of the Holy City of Heaven, he felt as if he wasn't standing in front of a city. It was a miracle. This miracle emitted a powerful holy aura, which made Ling Xiao even more certain that the God of Light that the cultivators of the Heaven Holy Land spoke of definitely existed. Previously, the cultivators of Golden Bull City said that the Holy City of Heaven was currently under martial law, and they weren't lying. When Ling Xiao and Yu Fanghua walked out of the transmission array, they saw many people lining up to be checked. Their appearance instantly attracted the attention of a 100-man team. These people seemed to have been waiting for them here for a long time. Ling Xiao reckoned that the cultivators of Golden Bull City had informed the guards here in advance. However, his and Yu Fenghua's goal was very clear, and they weren't afraid of being checked. Looking at the guard captain in silver armor in front of him, Ling Xiao appeared neither servile nor overbearing. You aren't followers of the God of Light. Who are you? What are you doing in the Holy City of Heaven? The guard captain shouted sternly. This person's strength had already reached the peak of the 5th level of the divine physique echelon. Although Ling Xiao didn't care about cultivators of this level of cultivation, he was here to do business. He wasn't here to fight, so he didn't make a move. Instead, he took out the primordial blood jade talisman to prove his identity. Since the cultivators of Golden Bull City knew this, it was impossible that the cultivators here didn't. 36 stone tablets that covered the sky floated in the air, bringing great pressure to the guards. Their expressions didn't look good. I'm the Golden Sovereign from the Golden Sky region. Has the Heaven Holy Land always treated its guests like this? Go and report that I want to see the Heaven Holy Lord. This matter concerns the survival of the 4 regions and 9 worlds. There can't be any mistakes. Ling Xiao wasn't in a good mood either. He was now the ruler of the 4 regions and 9 worlds other than the Heaven Holy Land, but the cultivators of the Heaven Holy Land had stopped him twice. How could he be in a good mood? If he wasn't looking for Bai Ye's whereabouts, he would have been furious. The appearance of the primordial blood jade talisman shocked everyone again. Everyone was discussing whether the young expert who killed the eternal heavenly emperor was really so young. Haha, so what if you're the Golden Sovereign? The Heaven Holy City is now under martial law. No outsiders are allowed to enter. The guard captain wasn't as tactful as the cultivators of Golden Bull City. Instead, he sneered and said, "Scram, go back to where you came from. Our Heaven Holy Land doesn't welcome a lowly race like you." The cultivators of the Heaven Holy Land had always considered themselves as holy disciples, so they naturally disdained to associate with ordinary humans. Ling Xiao was about to speak. Suddenly, a figure rushed over from the city. He slapped the guard captain and said, "Bastard, how dare you offend such an important guest like the Golden Sovereign? If it causes a conflict between the Heaven Holy Land and the Golden Sky region, can you bear the responsibility?" The guard captain wanted to fly into a rage, but when he turned around, he saw that it was the only holy son of the Heaven Holy Land, Shengyu. "Greetings, holy son." He hurriedly knelt down. After not seeing him for a long time, Shengyu's strength seemed to be much stronger than Ling Xiao had imagined. He was already at the peak of the 4th level of the divine physique echelon. Of course, perhaps the Shengyu he saw in the world of souls was just a weakened Shengyu. Xing Yu didn't even look at the guard captain. Instead, he patted Ling Xiao's shoulder excitedly. "Good lad, I originally thought that after I came back and obtained the true teachings of the Holy Master, my cultivation improved rapidly and surpassed you. Who would have thought that your current strength is actually so much stronger than mine?" Although Ling Xiao's cultivation wasn't as high as Xing Yu could roughly estimate Ling Xiao's combat strength. After all, they had fought in the world of souls. The two of them could be said to have become friends after fighting. When they first got to know each other, they were very hostile. Later on, Ling Xiao's various actions made Xing Yu admire Ling Xiao. Only then did he decide to befriend Ling Xiao. Although the relationship between the two of them hadn't reached the level of Ling Xiao and Xiao Jin. However, it wasn't bad. "I have to speed up. You know about the lotus flower, right? If I want to defeat him, I might have to become even stronger." Ling Xiao sighed and said, "You can definitely do it, I believe." Shengyu smiled and said, "Let's go. Follow me into the city first. I already know why you're here." Chapter 49-44. N. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. With Shengyu leading the way, it would be much less troublesome. Thus, he and Yu Fenghua followed Shengyu into the city. Although the sacred city of heaven was only half the size of the Golden City, it was still very big. After entering the city, there was still a teleportation formation connecting them. The three of them used the teleportation formation and directly arrived outside the Temple of Light. The Temple of Light was the core building of the sacred city of heaven. The sacred Lord usually did things here. The 12 gold St. Martial artists also lived here. "Wait a moment, don't go in first." At the door, Shengyu called out to the two of them and said softly, "You guys should be here for Supreme Emperor White Knight, right?" To be honest, I am not too sure what happened to Supreme Emperor White Knight, but I keep feeling that something strange happened in the sacred city of heaven. Do you still remember Lang Qingqing? She told me something yesterday, but she disappeared today. It is really worrying. Of course, I remember Lang Qingqing. In the death world, I once fought with her as a friend. Speaking of which, my relationship with her is even better than yours. Ling Xiao said, "But what did she tell you? Why did she disappear?" "This, I'm very ashamed, I forgot." When Shengyu mentioned this, his face was very ugly. That day, after Lang Qingqing came to find me, I fainted for no reason. When I woke up, I only remember that Lang Qingqing told me something very important, but I don't know what exactly she said. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. Shengyu's words made him even more vigilant. It seemed like there was a reason why the sacred city of heaven was under martial law. Something unspeakable must have happened. That was why there were so many accidents. White Knight's disappearance, Lang Qingqing's disappearance, Shengyu's fainting. A part of his memory was erased. Everything that had happened was too strange. Also, I think you won't be able to see the sacred Lord now. He is in closed-door cultivation. And the 12 gold St. Martial artists probably won't tell you where Supreme Emperor White Knight is. They will only beat around the bush. What are you going to do? Shengyu asked. Before Ling Xiao could answer, 2 god officials suddenly walked out of the temple. They said that it was an invitation from 12 gold saints. Ling Xiao looked at Shengyu and said, "Sorry, for White Knight, I might make a move against heaven." After saying that, Ling Xiao walked forward. Xingyu also followed along. He was the Holy Son and the only Holy Son. He had the right to do so. In the temple, Ling Xiao was warmly received. Originally, he did not want to waste time, but as the saying goes, one does not slap a smiling face. He resisted the impulse in his heart and finished attending the banquet. In the end, only the 12 gold saints and Holy Rain were left in the hall. He went straight to the point and asked his question. Everyone, I am here today to discuss the matter of joining forces with the Heavenly Palace's Holy Master. On the other hand, he was here for Supreme Emperor White Knight. Supreme Emperor White Knight disappeared in the Heavenly Saint City. I wonder if the 12 gold saints know of his whereabouts? After asking, Ling Xiao stared at these people's expressions. Just as Xingyu said, these people were not willing to tell the truth. Everyone's face revealed a playful expression. Obviously, they had already prepared how to deal with Ling Xiao. Sorry, Supreme Emperor White Knight's question has stumped us. Supreme Emperor White Knight came to the Heavenly Saint City before, but one day he suddenly said that he was going to meet someone and he never appeared again. As for who this person is, we're not sure. But don't worry, we have already placed the entire city under martial law and are working hard to find Supreme Emperor White Knight's whereabouts. Since Supreme Emperor White Knight is here, stay for a few more days. Leo Constellation Gold Saint said with a smile. Ling Xiao could not find fault with this statement. He looked at Xingyu, wanting to ask for confirmation. That day, Supreme Emperor White Knight did say that he was going to meet someone, and he never came back. Xingyu nodded with certainty. Understood. Let's put aside White Knight's matter and report to your Holy Master. Just say that I want to discuss the undead calamity with him. If I am not wrong, the undead calamity has already reached the Heavenly Saint City. This is not a small matter. We cannot be careless. Ling Xiao knew that it was useless to ask about White Knight, so he prepared to look for him privately, because he had a feeling that as long as he found Lang Qingqing, he would be able to find news of Supreme Emperor White Knight. He might even be able to find news of Xiao Jin. The Golden Saint martial artist from Pisces constellation smiled and said, regarding this point, Golden Emperor, you don't have to worry. Our Heavenly Saint City has the protection of the honorable martial god. Even if those ugly undead calamity come, they will be dispersed by the power of the honorable martial god. Also, the Holy Master is in closed-door cultivation, and we should not disturb him. If you insist on waiting, we can arrange the best accommodations for you. Let Supreme Emperor White Knight wait for a while. Maybe he can wait for the Holy Master to come out. Ling Xiao said indifferently, you don't have to use such excuses in front of me. Go and tell him that I have found a way to restrain the undead calamity. If he is interested, we can discuss it together. I will naturally not let him suffer. Since Supreme Emperor White Knight has said so, then I will risk my life to meet the Holy Master. Leo Constellation Gold Saint martial artist stood up and left. They were all smart people. Since they had decided to be frank, there was no need for them to hide anything from each other, not to mention whether or not the Holy Master of Heavenly Saint City was in closed-door cultivation. Even if she was in closed-door cultivation, there must be a way to stop her cultivation, unless she was on the verge of a breakthrough. But when Ling Xiao sensed the aura in the shrine, he did not find any signs of a breakthrough. Next, everyone waited for more than 10 minutes. The situation was rather awkward. Fortunately, after 10 minutes, Leo Constellation Gold Saint martial artist returned. Apologies, Supreme Emperor White Knight. The Holy Master said that this closed-door cultivation is related to whether or not she can break through to a higher realm. So she will need at least a month before she can come out. If Supreme Emperor White Knight can wait, then stay. If not, please return. Leo Constellation Gold Saint martial artist said. Hearing Leo Constellation Gold Saint martial artist's words, Ling Xiao was not surprised at all. He smiled and said, Seems like the Holy Master of Heavenly Saint City has not realized the terror of the undead calamity. I am sure you can hear my words. That's why I'm here to tell you what's at stake." He then briefly described what happened in the chaotic desert sea and the Wind Wolf country. Of course, the matter of Yu Fenghua being able to save the infected martial artists was temporarily hidden. The main reason was to let the other party know the seriousness of the matter. How tragic, but this is your matter. Although our Heavenly Saint City belongs to the 4 regions and 9 worlds, we rarely have any contact with the other 12 powers. Lotus Flower's matter has nothing to do with us. Pisces Constellation Gold Saint martial artist said in a strange tone. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 49-45. Hearing the sarcastic words of the Pisces Constellation Gold Saint, Ling Xiao frowned. What's wrong with this guy? He had already been to the heroes' assembly and had seen the terror of the undead creatures. Even the Eternal Life Emperor could not resist the temptation of the heart of a strong martial artist. Did this guy not understand how dangerous Lotus Flower was? He sneered. It has nothing to do with your heaven, sacred grounds. Do you really think that with the destruction of the other places in the 4 regions and 9 worlds, heaven's sacred grounds will still be a pure land? No, even if the other powers in the 4 regions and 9 worlds were not destroyed, the undead creatures have already started to move in heaven's sacred grounds. Like I said before, when I came, I already felt the evil and gloomy aura. You guys are really carefree. Aren't you worried that your friends and family will lose their minds and devour all life around them? Make it clear, people who are affected by the departed spirit fruit tree will not be able to maintain their rationality. This is very different from the heart of a strong martial artist. Don't be angry, Gold Emperor. We understand the situation you are talking about. We are also willing to discuss the matter of cooperation. But you have to be clear. Our heaven's sacred grounds has always followed the Saint Master. The Saint Master is currently in closed-door cultivation and is not willing to discuss this matter. Do you want us to go against his orders? The Leo Constellation Gold Saint's words were considered polite, but it was still meaningless. It seemed like the heaven's sacred Lord was not prepared to cooperate with him. Or perhaps something special had happened during this time? Heaven's sacred Lord, I know you are listening, but no matter what you think, you should know how terrifying Lotus Flower is. Just his demon, Lord Physique, the undead spirit emperor, can create countless undead creatures to infect the 4 regions and 9 worlds. Do you really have the confidence to resist Lotus Flower's infection with your own strength? Not to mention, that guy's demon Lord Physique will soon recover. Once it does, it will bring about even more terrifying effects. At that time, none of us will be able to escape. Now, only by cooperating can we completely destroy Lotus Flower. Regardless of whether the other party cooperated or not, Ling Xiao had to make things clear so that others would not say that he was not sincere in cooperating in the future. The 12 of you here are not anyone's puppets. It's true that you have to listen to the orders of the Heavenly Lord, but ask yourself, if you do this, will the Holy Land of Heaven become a living hell? I don't expect you to care about the world, but at the very least, think about your own people. Once you do something wrong, you may not even have the chance to regret it. Seeing that everyone was about to say something, Ling Xiao stopped them. He said, "Seriously, I will be staying in the Heaven Holy Land for a while. You can answer me after you think about it. However, I'm not sure when I'll be back. If there's a problem elsewhere, I'll leave. Since the Heavenly Saint Master is not willing to see me, you can go and discuss it with him. Xingyu, bring me to your residence." In this heavenly holy city, the only people Ling Xiao trusted were Shengyu and Lang Qingqing. Lang Qingqing was missing, so he planned to stay in the Holy Rain family for the time being. On one hand, he was looking for White Knight and Lang Qingqing to find out more about Xiao Jin. On the other hand, he was waiting for Heaven's Saint Leader's reply. He had already put it that way. If the Holy Lord of Heaven was still unwilling to cooperate, then he would definitely be killed. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to waste his breath. He had to support Xingyu to become the new Holy Lord of the Heaven Holy Land. Ling Xiao, I'm sorry. The Holy Lord has always been arrogant. I'm afraid it won't be easy to get him to cooperate with you. I'm ashamed that I didn't help you much. Back at Shengyu's residence, he sighed. It's not your fault. Furthermore, I feel that the Holy Lord of Heaven is not just arrogant. There must be a deeper reason. Ling Xiao could not think of any reason, but he trusted his intuition. The two of them chatted for a while, when suddenly someone came to report, Holy Son, Boss Jean is here to see you. Boss Jean? Why is he here? Xingyu frowned. Let him wait in the side hall. I'll be there in a while. Yes. After that person left, Ling Xiao asked Xingyu, Who's this Boss Jean? Xingyu said, The heavenly Holy Land isn't just powerful. There are many experts among the people as well. This Boss Jean is also known as Venerable Golden Sword. He's an expert among the people, and it's rumored that his cultivation has reached the peak of the 6th level of the divine physique echelon. Of course, this is only limited to the heavenly Holy Land. When cultivators leave the heavenly Holy Land, their cultivation will drop by a whole realm due to the absence of the radiant God's protection. Peak of the 6th level of the divine physique echelon, Venerable Golden Sword? Why is he looking for you? Ling Xiao asked. It's probably related to Lang Qingqing. No matter what, let's meet him first. Brother Ling, come with me. Xingyu said. All right. Ling Xiao nodded and followed Xingyu to the side hall with Yu Fenghua. Along the way, Xingyu briefly introduced Venerable Golden Sword. Venerable Golden Sword wasn't alone. He had 4 companions with him. They were Venerable Golden Spear, Venerable Golden Saber, Venerable Blazing Fire, and Venerable Heavenly Traveler. These people were all powerful. At least in the heavenly Holy Land, the emperors of the 4 regions and 9 worlds were no match for them. Hearing Shengyu's words, Ling Xiao suddenly felt that it was reasonable for the cultivators of the heavenly Holy Land to worship the high and mighty Radiant God. Although the Radiant God's influence couldn't extend beyond the heavenly Holy Land, it was still very good. As long as the Radiant God existed, the cultivators of the heavenly Holy Land would become much stronger. Soon, the 3 of them arrived at the side hall. They saw a group of more than 10 people. Other than Venerable Golden Sword, Venerable Golden Spear was also present. Although the others weren't as strong as them, they weren't weak either. This was a force to be reckoned with. May I know why Venerable Golden Sword is looking for this holy son? After Shengyu sat down, she went straight to the point. I want to discuss a business deal with you, Venerable Golden Sword said calmly. He only glanced at Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua casually. His gaze lingered on Yu Fenghua more than on Ling Xiao. Obviously, he wasn't interested in this young man who was only at the 3rd level of the divine physique echelon. Oh, I want to hear it. Xingyu said calmly. This business deal is simple. Isn't the Holy Sun looking for Lang Qingqing recently? We happen to know where she is. The Holy Sun only needs to give us a satisfactory reward, and we will tell you where Lang Qingqing is. Venerable Golden Sword smiled. What kind of reward? Shang Yu asked. It's simple. First, the Holy Sun. Please invite the Golden Sages to go with us to deal with the Blood Bat King. Damn it! This Blood Bat King killed my younger brother. This grudge must be avenged. Second, 100 Supreme Grade Spiritual Stones. Venerable Golden Sword smiled. As soon as he finished speaking, Venerable Golden Spear added, Third, give that woman to us as well. It's been a long time since I've seen someone so beautiful. Chapter 49-46. The Venerable with the Golden Spear was talking about Yu Fenghua. It seemed like he had misunderstood something, and thought that Yu Fanghua was just a servant of the Holy Sun's residence. You better take back what you just said. Otherwise, it'll be ugly later. Before Xing you could say anything, Ling Xiao spoke first. How could he not say anything when someone was coveting his woman? Who do you think you are? You're just a piece of trash at the 3rd level of the divine physique echelon. How dare you lecture me? The venerable with the golden spear said disdainfully. Oh, I understand now. This woman is yours, right? Ha ha ha, that's even easier. Kneel down and give your woman to me. If I'm in a good mood, I might spare your life. You're quite talented to be able to cultivate to your current level at such a young age. If you're obedient, you might be able to live a little longer. Hee, I like to court death. Unfortunately, you're just a piece of trash. Can you kill me? Ling Xiao grinned. Ha ha ha. You're really arrogant to the extreme. I, the venerable with the golden spear, have been in the heaven sanctuary for many years. No young man has ever dared to talk to me like that. You're really powerful. However, the more powerful your mouth is, the easier it is for you to get into trouble. The venerable with the golden spear sneered and released his martial soul. It was a long spear that seemed to be made of gold. Although the spear martial soul was simple, it was more beneficial to martial artists who use spears. After the martial soul was released, his divine energy exploded. A violent aura instantly filled the entire side hall. Xingyu couldn't help but take a few steps back. He was only at the peak of the 4th level of the divine physique echelon. If he was facing an early 5th level of the divine physique echelon, he could still handle it. However, the venerable with the golden spear was at the early 6th level of the divine physique echelon. He couldn't do anything about it, not to mention fighting. Just the aura of the venerable with the golden spear was enough to make him miserable. What? You want to kill me? Ling Xiao chuckled. You're right. After killing you, that woman will still be mine. It's just a waste of time. The venerable with the golden spear sneered. Xingyu, is it okay to kill this guy? Of course. Ling Xiao was not afraid of trouble, but he did not want to affect Xingyu, so he asked. Of course it's fine. These guys are hated by the Divine Hall. Killing them is actually beneficial to me. Xingyu replied. That makes things easier. Ling Xiao looked at Venerable Golden Spear and said, It's been a long time since I've seen such an idiot courting death. Since I'm in a bad mood today, I'll kill you to vent my anger. Xingyu, don't you want to know where Lang Qingqing is? Reverend Golden Sword shouted. He originally thought that Venerable Golden Spear only wanted one more woman and that Xingyu would not object. After all, Lang Qingqing was the woman Xingyu liked. For Lang Qingqing's sake, Xingyu would definitely make a decision. But what he did not expect was that Xingyu seemed to be in awe of this young martial artist. Boss Jean, why waste your breath on him? Even if we kill him, he will still agree to our conditions. Leave it to me. The Venerable One with the golden spear, Venerable One, released a shocking killing intent. Ling Xiao did not exist in his eyes at all. Perhaps in his eyes, Ling Xiao was less than an ant. These fellows were used to doing whatever they wanted in the holy land of heaven. They had no idea how much the outside world had changed. If they had known that the young man standing in front of them was the powerful existence who had killed the eternal emperor, they would have known that he was the one who had killed the eternal emperor. Then he probably wouldn't be so arrogant. Die. Holding a golden spear in his hand, Venerable Golden Spear's divine essence erupted, thrusting it at Ling Xiao. The tip of the spear pierced through the void and even formed a terrifying spiral in the air. Hee, you're the one who's going to die. 3 moves are enough to kill a pig like you. Boom! In that instant, Ling Xiao entered the divine ox body state. Then he punched out with his left fist. Wearing the hand of eternal life, his left fist slammed into the tip of the golden spear. Rumble! A terrifying explosion rang out. An entire side hall began to shake. The terrifying shockwave shattered all the tables and chairs between them. It was as if an earthquake had taken place. Yu Fenghua stood in front of Xingyu and blocked the powerful shockwave. Xingyu couldn't help but smile bitterly. In the past, he was very conceited. Now, not only was Ling Xiao stronger than him, but even Yu Fenghua was much stronger than him. He was a little disappointed. Let's go outside. Ling Xiao blocked Venerable Golden Spear's attack and rushed outside. After all, the Holy Sun's residence was a very important building. If it was destroyed, he wouldn't even be able to find a place to stay. Don't even think about running away. Venerable Golden Spear chased after him. The rest of the people followed closely behind. They went all the way to the outskirts. Ling Xiao stopped. There were no buildings around, so it was the best place to fight. Golden Thunderbolt. Venerable Golden Spear attacked as soon as he caught up with Ling Xiao. Terrifying spear gleams covered Ling Xiao like golden thunderbolts. The entire sky was dyed golden. The scene was quite shocking. Every spear gleam was enough to kill a martial artist at the peak of the 5th level of the divine physique echelon. Ling Xiao was covered by the spear gleams, and it seemed like he had no chance of escaping. Child's play. It's my turn. First move, Demonic Bull Fist. Ling Xiao wasn't afraid at all in the face of the spear gleams that covered the sky. He threw out a punch. There seemed to be an 800 zhang tall demonic bull's silhouette in the air. It blocked the spear gleams and destroyed them. The huge fist was still going to hit Venerable Golden Spear. At that moment, Venerable Golden Spear was shocked. This was because he discovered that not only did Ling Xiao's attack destroy his attack, it actually carried an unstoppable and terrifying might as it charged towards him. He didn't have time to dodge at all. The only thing he could do was to block it. He thrust out his spear in an attempt to destroy the huge demonic bull fist. Boom! After a loud bang, Venerable Golden Spear was smashed into the ground. He was in a sorry state. The spear in his hand almost fell out of his hand. If one took a closer look, one would realize that the spear was slightly bent. It was just not that obvious. What's going on? How can a 3rd-level divine physique realm martial artist be so powerful? Who is he? Venerable Golden Sword looked at Xingyu and asked in shock. Although Venerable Golden Spear was weaker than him, it was impossible that he couldn't even kill a 3rd-level divine physique realm trash. Xingyu couldn't be bothered to answer Venerable Golden Sword's question. Since the battle had already begun, it wouldn't end unless one party died. Impossible! Impossible! I don't believe this is real. Venerable Golden Spear was even more shocked, let alone Venerable Golden Sword. He was the one involved, so he could clearly feel how terrifying Ling Xiao was. However, as a 6th-level divine physique realm martial artist, how could he admit defeat here? Even if he was facing the powerful Ling Xiao, he had to regain his dignity. Brat, you've embarrassed me so much. You must die today. Haha, you can talk about it after you touch me. What's the use of talking so much? It's as if you're more powerful with your words. Ling Xiao said with a chuckle. Arrogant, Venerable Golden Spear clenched his teeth in anger. Mobile version update website. M. Chapter 49-47. The Venerable with the Golden Spear only wanted to kill Ling Xiao to save his face. The spear in his hand spun at a high speed, producing sparks in the void and burning crazily. The flame and the spear merged into one. The Venerable with the Golden Spear roared, "Go to hell, idiot!" Thunderfire, toxic dragon drill. The spear suddenly stabbed out, and a burning divine dragon rushed out from the spear light and pounced on Ling Xiao. The terrifying power of fire and the power of metal merged into one. It formed a terrifying attack that could tear apart any defense. A burning hole seemed to have been drilled in the air. God-defying technique, 5-word style. Ling Xiao also made his move. The God-defying sword in his right hand condensed 5 sword lights. They turned into 5 ferocious Tautais and pounced on the fire dragon. The 5-word style was enough to deal with an existence like the venerable with the golden spear. The violent sword chi bloomed in the void. The toxic dragon drill seemed to have met a strong opponent and could not break through the defense. The most terrifying thing was that the terrifying sword intent had already enveloped the venerable with the golden spear. It made him shudder. It was only then that the venerable with the golden spear suddenly realized that the attack just now was definitely not a coincidence. It was because Ling Xiao had the strength to kill him. Unfortunately, it was too late to regret now. Crack! The spear light was completely shattered, and the fire dragon turned into nothingness. For sword lights still shot at the venerable with the golden spear, completely piercing through his defense. Blood spurted out. Sorry, it's over. I thought you could at least hold on for 3 moves. I didn't expect you to be defeated in 2 moves. Looking at the frightened face, Ling Xiao smiled faintly. This opponent was really weak. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die yet. How can I die? I'm the venerable with the golden spear. Boss Gold, save me. A shrill scream resounded in the void. Unfortunately, it was too late. This was the venerable with the golden spear's last roar, and also his last words. Until his death, he did not understand why he lost to such a weak guy. This was really too unreasonable. 2 moves. The other party had only used 2 moves to kill him to the point that his consciousness was blurred, and he had stepped into the moment of despair. He didn't underestimate Ling Xiao, but he still died. The Void God sword absorbed the essence of venerable golden spear. Ling Xiao put away the Void God sword and said, I warned you to take back your words. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Unfortunately, you don't seem to believe me. Ling Xiao killed venerable golden spear because the other party wanted to kill him. At the same time, it was to intimidate the martial artists of the Saint City of Heaven. He knew that many people were paying attention to this battle. As a martial artist at the early stage of the 6th level divine physique stage, the venerable golden spear was extremely suitable to serve as a warning to others. Ling Xiao's strength was rumored to be extremely powerful in the outside world. Many people knew that he had killed the Eternal Emperor. Moreover, it was the Eternal Emperor who had devoured the heart of an expert. However, since he had never seen it before, he would still have doubts in his heart. Many people believed in the principle of seeing is believing. Therefore, only by witnessing it with their own eyes would they believe how powerful Ling Xiao was. Today they saw it for themselves. Ling Xiao only used 2 moves to kill an expert at the early stage of the 6th level divine physique stage. It was a completely one-sided victory. His opponent didn't even have the slightest chance of turning the tables. You're able to kill an opponent who's 2 cultivation levels higher than you. Ling Xiao, just how strong are you? Even though Xingyu already knew how powerful Ling Xiao was, he still couldn't hide the shock in his heart when he saw this scene. Venerable Golden Sword's expression was almost distorted. He roared with a beast-like voice, Ling Xiao, you bastard! How dare you kill my brother? I'll definitely kill you. Ling Xiao looked at Venerable Golden Sword indifferently. He asked for it. Now, you can tell me where Lang Qingqing is. You better not go against me. Otherwise, I'll kill you too. Don't doubt my strength. Ling Xiao stood there and looked at Venerable Golden Sword domineeringly. Since the other party didn't care about principles, why should he use principles to restrict himself? Do you think I'll be afraid of your threat? Venerable Golden Sword was much stronger than Venerable Golden Spear. Therefore, he still had some confidence. Cosmic Divine Fist. Time stop. Ling Xiao didn't waste any time and suddenly made his move. Everything around Venerable Golden Sword suddenly became still, and even his mind stopped working. When everything returned to normal, he realized that Ling Xiao's sword was already on his neck. What about now? Are you going to say it or not? Reverend Golden Sword was scared out of his wits. He had never expected that the young man before him would be so powerful. Who exactly are you? Venerable Golden Sword roared. Heavenly Dynasty Empire's Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao said indifferently, You're Ling Xiao. Venerable Golden Sword's expression was very complicated when he heard this name. There was fear and excitement. I'm Ling Xiao, and I'm Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao said, All right, since it's you, I admit defeat. Lang Qingqing is currently in the hands of Bloodbat King. That Bloodbat King, also known as Blood Elder, has already followed Lotus Flower. Venerable Golden Sword replied, Another killer of Lotus Flower? Ling Xiao frowned and said, Do you know where that old thing is? I know. Bloodbat King killed my younger brother. I also want to find him for revenge, so if you want to go, I can lead the way. Venerable Golden Sword said. Very well, let's go now. Ling Xiao was an impatient person. In addition, Lang Qingqing had a relationship with him. If he found Lang Qingqing, it was very likely that he would find Bai Yi. He didn't want to let go of any opportunity. If Heaven's Holy Lord didn't help him, he had to think of a way himself. You're too impatient, aren't you? The one who knows where Bloodbat King lives is another brother of mine, Skywalker. Moreover, Bloodbat King is extremely powerful. Even if you're strong, you're not that guy's opponent. Therefore, I have to gather Lord of Fire, Venerable Golden Sword, and Skywalker to discuss countermeasures. Venerable Golden Sword said, All right, I'll give you an hour. After that, we'll gather here. If I can't see you, then be careful of the sword in my hand. Ling Xiao said indifferently, No problem. Venerable Golden Sword said, Scram. Ling Xiao waved his hand, telling Venerable Golden Sword to scram. Seeing Venerable Golden Sword leaving with a group of subordinates, carrying Venerable Golden Spear's corpse, Holy Rain suddenly said, You're really not worried about letting these guys go back, right? It's not that I'm not worried, it's on purpose. Ling Xiao said indifferently, If these people join the undead race, it will be quite troublesome. That's why I gathered them together. If I find something wrong, I'll kill them all. It'll save me the trouble of looking for them one by one. You're really cunning. Holy Rain was stunned for a moment. She finally realized the gap between her and Ling Xiao. She was always thinking about the things in front of her, but Ling Xiao could seize an opportunity to control the rhythm of things in his hands, letting things develop according to his own ideas. This was really too powerful. She couldn't help but admire him. Chapter 49-48. Bastard. Ling Xiao, I'll make you suffer so much that you wish you were dead. The Golden Sword Venerable finally lost his temper when he was already several tens of thousands of meters away. Amidst his furious roar, his sword plunged into a forest and smashed several hundred huge trees into smithereens. He was too angry. He had never been so humiliated. Not only had his brother been killed, but he had also been threatened to obey. Yet he didn't dare to refute. He had never tasted such a feeling before. Today he had tasted all of it. Ling Xiao, I'll let you be arrogant for a while. Once this matter is over, I'll let you go. After this matter is settled, you should go see the King of Hell. At that time, not only will you die, your heavenly empire will also be destroyed. Your friends, your family, your women, all of them will die. The Golden Sword Venerable was known as Boss Gold. He was also the so-called uncrowned king of the underground world. It was said that even the temple had to give him face. But today, Boss Gold was played by Ling Xiao. This could be said to be the greatest humiliation in his life. How could he let it go? He could only kill Ling Xiao in the cruelest way possible and destroy all the people by Ling Xiao's side. Only then would he be able to vent his anger. Boss Gold, that's a golden emperor. We can't afford to offend him. Why don't we just not get involved with him? One of his subordinates suggested. Bastard. Boss Gold roared and smashed this person's head like a watermelon. Whoever dares to disturb my morale at this time and doesn't listen to me, I'll kill them. Everyone was so scared that they kept quiet out of fear, not daring to say anything. They had never seen Boss Jean so angry before. It looked like he was really angry. On the other side, Ling Xiao, Xing Yu, and Yu Fenghua didn't leave. Instead, they sat down in the outskirts. They were discussing this matter. Brother Ling, I still feel that something is wrong. How did Lang Qingqing fall into the hands of the Bloodbat King? This doesn't make sense. Shang Yu still felt that this was a conspiracy. Your suspicions are correct, but this time I have to go. Even if there is a slight possibility, I have to try my luck. Moreover, this Bloodbat King was probably sent by Lotus Flower to assassinate me. Since that's the case, I might as well make the first move to gain the upper hand and get rid of him. Ling Xiao smiled and said, well, don't worry. Just wait for our good news in the Holy Sun Mansion. Actually, I've always had a guess, and Lang Qingqing's matter has confirmed my guess. What guess? Sheng Yu asked in surprise. Ling Xiao moved closer to Sheng Yu's ear and compressed his voice into a thin line. In that instant, Sheng Yu's expression changed drastically, revealing a look of disbelief. How is this possible? This is just my speculation, but you have to be careful. When I find solid evidence, I'll make this matter public. Ling Xiao said. Sheng Yu seemed to be unable to accept the unbelievable information in Ling Xiao's words. She stood there muttering to herself. Ling Xiao didn't say anything. He leaned against a tree and closed his eyes to rest, waiting for Venerable Golden Sword to arrive. Venerable Golden Sword had already returned to his lair. The person who greeted him was a boorish man with a beard that was as hard as steel needles. It was quite unique. Venerable Golden Sword told this man what had happened in the Holy Sun Mansion. This man immediately flew into a rage. Ling Xiao dared to kill Golden Spear. I don't care who he is, I must destroy him. The rough man roared. Venerable Golden Sword said coldly, Lord of Fire, your words are enough. This Ling Xiao must die. I want Ling Xiao and his empire to be buried with him. The rough man was Lord of Fire. This person's strength was actually stronger than Venerable Golden Sword. Although their cultivation was similar, their fighting strength was extremely valiant. Among the 5 of them, Heaven Traveler was probably the strongest. The second was Lord of Fire. The third was Venerable Golden Sword. The fourth was Venerable Golden Saber, and the last was Venerable Golden Spear. Lord of Fire was good at fire secret techniques, and his attack power was considered very strong among the 5. What should we do? Directly attack? Lord of Fire asked. No. Venerable Golden Sword shook his head and said, although Golden Spear is the weakest among the 5 of us, that kid can kill Golden Spear in 2 moves. This, even you and I can't do. So even if you and I join forces, I'm afraid we won't be his opponent. We have to think of another way. Although Venerable Golden Sword was anxious to kill Ling Xiao, he was a calm and cautious person and wouldn't rashly court death. I don't believe that the 4 of us can't kill him together. Lord of Fire said again. Of course we can, but we have to pay a heavy price. Don't worry, I've already thought about it. You just need to listen to my instructions. I guarantee that Ling Xiao will die and we will be unharmed. Venerable Golden Sword had always been the wise one among the 5. Generally, Venerable Golden Sword was responsible for mental work. Okay, I'll listen to you. Lord of Fire nodded. A moment later, 2 more figures appeared. It was Venerable Golden Saber and Skywalker. Reverend Golden Sword told them what had happened. The 4 of them had a common enemy, and all agreed to kill Ling Xiao. However, Venerable Golden Sword strongly insisted on following the plan, so they didn't act immediately. Let's go. That kid said we have to meet him within an hour. Otherwise, I'll regret it. That's a madman. It's better to listen to him for the time being to avoid any accidents. Venerable Golden Sword got up and said, The other 3 nodded, but their faces showed anger. Obviously, they were very unhappy with Ling Xiao's attitude. The 4 of them immediately set off and came to the suburbs, seeing Ling Xiao and Yu Fenghua still waiting there. Lord of Fire snorted. The Lord of Fire snorted coldly. He really wanted to make a move immediately and show Ling Xiao his power. If he wasn't stopped by Venerable Golden Sword, he would have gone crazy. What are you looking at? Since you're all here, tell me about your plan. Ling Xiao didn't put these 4 people in his eyes at all and said lightly, Bastard, what's with your attitude? Venerable Golden Saber suddenly pulled out his saber and slashed at Ling Xiao in anger. Venerable Golden Sword wanted to stop it, but it was too late. However, before the saber could get close to Ling Xiao, it was suddenly crushed by a strange space force. They only saw Ling Xiao's right hand move. This guy is really strong. Venerable Golden Saber revealed a surprised look. He was still skeptical about what Venerable Golden Sword said before, but now he really believed it. Crack! Just as Venerable Golden Saber revealed a shocked look, a sword light instantly cut off his right arm. Venerable Golden Saber let out a hysterical scream from the pain. Although the arm could be healed, the pain was inevitable. I'll only say this once. If your people dare to attack me or my woman again, it won't be just an arm. It won't just be a matter of an arm. Next time you'll die. Ling Xiao looked coldly at the 4 people opposite him, revealing a terrifying killing intent in his eyes. It made the 4 people feel a chill in their hearts. They were sure that none of them was Ling Xiao's opponent in a one-on-one fight. Chapter 49-49. Sovereign, please don't be angry. I didn't think before I acted. Why don't you listen to my plan? Venerable Golden Sword hurriedly said to Ling Xiao. He was really afraid that Ling Xiao would kill Venerable Golden Sword in a fit of anger. If that happened, they would have one less powerful combatant, which would be extremely disadvantageous for him. Say it. Ling Xiao said nonchalantly. Venerable Golden Sword heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. He hurriedly said, Let's talk about this Bloodbat King first. Rumor has it that his cultivation has already reached the early stage of the 7th level divine physique echelon. Although he's the same as the Ice Corpse King, his combat power is much stronger than the Ice Corpse King. Moreover, he has a giant bat monster. This bat monster can merge with him during crucial moments. It's very difficult to deal with him. It was truly very difficult to deal with him. At the very least, it would take 3 peak 6th level divine physique echelon experts to be able to temporarily stall him. Heavenly Traveler, King of Fire, and I will do this. Also, this Bloodbat King has powerful bat guards under him. I don't know the exact number, but they should be weaker than us. Therefore, we'll have to trouble Sovereign Golden Sword and Brother Golden Sword. He didn't include Yu Fenghua. It could even be said that he had always treated Yu Fenghua as a burden. He really didn't know why Ling Xiao wanted to bring her along. That's it. Ling Xiao asked. Yes. As far as I know, this time the Bloodbat King only brought a few bat guards with him. It shouldn't be wrong. After all, the Heaven Sanctuary isn't the undead tribe's nest. Venerable Golden Sword replied. Let's do as you say. Can we set off now? Ling Xiao decided to use Yu Fenghua as a backup because he was worried that this was a trap. It was best not to expose Yu Fenghua's combat power so easily. As he spoke, he had already let Yu Fenghua enter the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. Let's go. Venerable Golden Sword nodded. Everyone set off. Venerable Golden Sword and the others flew in front while Ling Xiao followed behind. Although the future was uncertain, Ling Xiao did not feel the slightest pressure. This was the benefit of being powerful. About 2 hours later, they arrived at a hidden valley. They stopped in front of a cave. The Bloodbat King and his lackeys are inside. Skywalker said, Lead the way. The corner of Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with an imperceptible sneer as he said indifferently, "This time, with the help of the Yellow Sovereign, that Bloodbat King will definitely die." "Paragon Golden," Sword said with a smile. He enunciated the word "die" very fiercely, as if there was a special reason for it. The moment everyone entered the cave, Ling Xiao activated his Tai Chi Eye. This cave was really well connected. The Bloodbat King had really chosen a good place, as the elements inside were too concentrated. It interfered with the Tai Chi Eye's observation. Currently, he could only see about 1 mile away. Within this range, Ling Xiao actually saw close to a few hundred bat guards. These guys' characteristics were too obvious. Every one of them had bat-like wings on their backs, and their eyes were extremely red. They were moving quickly toward this place. Ling Xiao did not say anything as he quietly followed the few people in front of him and continued moving forward. After a while, Skywalker suddenly stopped in his tracks. "Oh no, we seem to have been discovered." Just as he finished speaking, suddenly, a dense swarm of bat guards flew out of the pitch-black cave. Pairs of red eyes flickered with a strange light in the dark night. They revealed bloodthirsty, vicious, and cruel expressions. Most of the bat guards had already lost their emotions and rationality. This was because they were all refined into bat guards by the Bloodbat King after they died. There were also a few who maintained their rationality and took the initiative to follow the Bloodbat King's former subordinates. "Oh no, they're all bat guards at the 5th and 6th level of the Divine Body Realm." Venerable Golden Sword cried out in surprise and quickly launched an attack. Venerable Golden Saber, Lord Blazing Fire, and Skywalker also launched an attack at the same time. Ling Xiao did not dare to be negligent. With the Void God's sword in hand, he moved freely among the bat guards. Every time he flashed, a few corpses would fall. Moreover, the bat guards that he killed would never be able to revive again. While attacking, Ling Xiao noticed something. Venerable Golden Sword, Venerable Golden Saber, Skywalker, and Lord Blazing Fire seemed to be attacking with all their might. However, from the beginning until now, they had not even killed a single bat guard. Perhaps an ordinary person would be busy dealing with the enemy and would not be able to notice their actions. However, Ling Xiao was not an ordinary person. As long as his Tai Chi Eye was activated, anything abnormal would not be able to escape his eyes. "I'd like to see what tricks you useless pieces of trash are playing." Ling Xiao sneered. Anyway, to him, the more enemies there were, the less he was afraid of exhausting himself. The divine origin that was exhausted could be replenished by continuously absorbing from the enemies. To him, this was simply an extremely easy task. "Skywalker, why hasn't the Bloodbat King appeared yet? It's impossible to take down Ling Xiao with just these bat guards." Venerable Golden Sword transmitted his voice to Skywalker during the battle. Skywalker smiled and said, "What's the hurry? Let the bat guards slowly exhaust that brat first and let him suffer a little. Then let the Bloodbat King refine that brat into a bat guard. That way we can vent our anger." "Gagaga, Ling Xiao, you finally appeared. You're the one who killed my sworn brother, the Ice Corpse King, right?" Right at this moment, an unpleasant laughter suddenly sounded, and a black figure appeared in front of everyone in an instant. "You're the Bloodbat King. As expected, you're as disgusting as your sworn brother, the Ice Corpse King. You didn't want to be a good human, but you chose to rely on the lotus flower and become a dead spirit." Ling Xiao stood there, casually waving the Void God's sword in his hand as he killed the enemies while talking to the Bloodbat King. It was as if the enemies beside him were just decorations, and he didn't care about them at all. "Ling Xiao, you're about to die, and you still dare to talk nonsense. You still can't tell that this is a trap?" Venerable Golden Sword finally revealed his true colors. This was because he was sure that Ling Xiao couldn't escape. A large number of bat guards, plus the Bloodbat King. How could Ling Xiao escape? Ha! You bunch of good-for-nothings want to kill me? Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully. Indeed, the four of them can't kill you, but I can. The Bloodbat King sneered. Moreover, the four of them haven't used the heart of a powerhouse yet. With their cultivation, what do you think will happen if they use the heart of a powerhouse? As he spoke, the Bloodbat King took out 4 heart of a powerhouse and gave them to Venerable Golden Sword, Venerable Golden Saber, King of Fire, and Skywalker. The 4 of them ate it without hesitation. Previously, they were humiliated by Ling Xiao, so they didn't have the ability to take revenge. But now it was different. Ling Xiao didn't stop them. He just watched the 4 of them eat the heart of a powerhouse at the same time. Then they broke through to the early stage of the 7th level divine body realm at the same time. However, what surprised Ling Xiao was that although they were all in the early stage of the 7th level divine body realm, even if the 4 of them worked together, they probably wouldn't be a match for the Eternal Emperor. Chapter 4950. Seeing that the aura of the 4 guys in front of him was inferior to that of the Eternal Emperor at the same cultivation level, Ling Xiao was puzzled. What kind of logic was this? Could it be that the increase in strength from eating the heart of a powerhouse was related to the innate potential of a martial artist? Right, it must be like that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a big difference. After obtaining great strength, the Golden Sword Venerable laughed wildly. Ling Xiao, you must have never thought that you would have such a day, right? Who asked you to be so unlucky? You shouldn't have come to the holy land of heaven. Oh, right after you die, your woman should also appear. Don't worry, we will love her. Although you killed the Golden Spear Brothers, we can still finish his unfinished business for him. Ling Xiao sighed and shook his head lightly. Actually, I had a little bit of expectation for all of you. Unfortunately, you guys have completely destroyed my expectations. Fine, since we're all together, let's kill them together. I won't have to run around. But before that, I want to ask you a question. Is Lang Qingqing in your hands? So what? But you have to act quickly. Otherwise, in half an hour, she will be refined into a new bat guard. At that time, she won't recognize you. The Bloodbat King sneered. Scum! The moment Ling Xiao's voice fell, his figure suddenly flashed. He fled in a direction. He didn't see where Lang Qingqing was, but he keenly noticed that when the Bloodbat King spoke, his eyes subconsciously looked in a direction. This was enough for him to confirm that Lang Qingqing was there. Once his speed soared, it really made people flabbergasted. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared in front of everyone. Chase! Quickly chase! We must not let him escape. The Bloodbat King roared and took the lead to chase. The other 4 also surrounded Ling Xiao from 4 directions. I see it. A few minutes later, Ling Xiao saw Lang Qingqing. At this time, Lang Qingqing was soaked in a strange liquid. Her body was rapidly changing. His legs were close to becoming undead. Ling Xiao instantly pulled Lang Qingqing out of the liquid and chopped off her legs. In any case, divine body realm martial artists could regenerate their legs. If the liquid entered his heart and brain through his legs, it would be troublesome. The moment he rescued Lang Qingqing, the Bloodbat King and the others rushed over, completely sealing off his escape route. Xiao, I want to fight with you, Yu Fenghua said in the Dong Sheng Emperor ring. Ling Xiao nodded and let her out. Yu Fenghua was not just a pretty vase. His battle prowess was equally strong. Leave Skywalker and Lord of Fire to me. Yu Fenghua rushed out after she finished speaking. 1 against 2. Attack together. The 3 of them rushed forward at the same time. They attacked Ling Xiao from 3 different directions. Golden Saber and Golden Saber naturally used saber and sword. But Bloodbat King's weapon was the sharp finger glove on his finger. It looked very small, but it was an emperor weapon with 9 dragon patterns. You really think highly of me. 1 Bloodbat King is enough for me to deal with. You actually want 3 of you to attack together? But then again, if the 3 of you are alone, you might be able to defeat me. But now I am not afraid of you. The 3 of them joined forces. After all, they were only joining forces. The power of 3 people could not completely condense into 1 person. So there was no qualitative change. Ling Xiao could defeat them one by one. Dragon God, Frost Diagram. At the critical moment, the air was suddenly filled with cold air. The movements of the 3 suddenly stiffened. Even though it was only for a moment, Ling Xiao had grasped it. The first one he chose to attack was the weakest, venerable golden saber. Kill one first. He did not want to face these 3 at the same time, because he really could not win, unless he used fusion. Void Shattering Finger, shatter the void. Ling Xiao did not move and used Void Shattering Finger from a distance. The poor, venerable golden saber had just recovered his movement when he found that he was bound by a terrifying spatial power. His body was shattered into pieces like glass. His consciousness instantly blurred and disappeared. Even when he died, he did not understand how he died and why he died. Because Ling Xiao attacked from a distance. Even if Bloodbat King and Venerable Golden Sword wanted to stop him, it was already too late. Facing the attacks of the 2, Ling Xiao released 3 layers of immemorial Blood Jade Talisman to form a defense. It blocked Bloodbat King's attack. At the same time, he stabbed his sword at Venerable Golden Sword, wanting to use this opportunity to kill him. Mobile version update website M. Chapter 4951. Don't even think about it. The Bloodbat King watched as Venerable Golden Saber was killed. Ling Xiao charged at Venerable Golden Sword once again, and he was immediately enraged. He actually broke through the primordial Blood Jade Talisman's defense, and a huge bat shadow appeared behind him. The Bat King, who was unwilling to fight with his full strength at first, finally released his martial soul, his fighting strength sword. What a pity! Ling Xiao didn't dare to ignore the Bloodbat King's attack. His sword suddenly stopped, and his figure flashed, turning into a golden light and disappearing from the 2's encirclement. Ghost Bat! The Bloodbat King's movement technique wasn't inferior to Ling Xiao's at all. The moment Ling Xiao escaped, he turned into a bat shadow and chased after him. Wind Cloud Lightning Sword. At this moment, Venerable Golden Sword, who had recovered, suddenly attacked, releasing a dazzling sword light from afar. The sword light contained the rumbling of thunder, causing the entire cave to shake. God-defying Taotai. At the critical moment, Ling Xiao released the God-defying sword in his hand, which turned into a ferocious Taotai to block the Bloodbat King. He then used the Holy Ground Demonic Shadow to dodge Venerable Golden Sword's attack, and instantly appeared in front of him. He might be a little wary of the Bloodbat King, but Venerable Golden Sword wasn't in his eyes at all. Venerable Golden Sword was shocked when he saw Ling Xiao's attack. He hurriedly stabbed the sword in his hand into the ground. Then a golden light intertwined in front of him formed a defense. Child's play. Ling Xiao sneered, and the crimson blood demonic sword appeared in his hand. He easily tore through Venerable Golden Sword's defense like a piece of cloth. Then the crimson blood demonic sword pierced Venerable Golden Sword's throat. Of course, this wasn't what he wanted. Ling Xiao wanted to stab Venerable Golden Sword's head, but Venerable Golden Sword was no fool. At the critical moment, his neck suddenly elongated, causing Ling Xiao's plan to fail. The Bloodbat King wanted to get rid of the God-defying Taotai and help Reverend Golden Sword. Although the God-defying Taotai was weaker than him, it was not so easy to break through. Without more than 10 moves, the battle would definitely not end. If Ling Xiao wanted to kill Venerable Golden Sword, it would not take more than 10 moves. It was this small gap that decided the fate of Venerable Golden Sword. Ling Xiao hadn't managed to kill Venerable Golden Sword with a single strike, but the demon ox fist in his left hand had already been unleashed. This time, Venerable Golden Sword's entire body exploded, leaving only his head intact. However, how could Ling Xiao let go of such an excellent opportunity? The crimson blood demon sword in his right hand had already formed a new move, Hell's Shadow Strike. In that instant, Ling Xiao's entire being turned into nothingness. Venerable Golden Sword couldn't tell where the attack came from. It was as if he was surrounded by killing intent. Ling Xiao seemed to come from all directions. That kind of feeling made him shudder. Chi! The invisible hell strike finally pierced through Venerable Golden Sword's head, and his soul realm was injured by the crimson blood demon sword. After letting out a hysterical scream, Venerable Golden Sword finally died with an unwilling expression. At that moment, the god-defying Tao Tai had yet to be defeated by the Blood Bat King. Come back! Ling Xiao didn't want the god-defying Tao Tai to be too severely injured, because that would cause the god-defying sword to be unusable for a long time. He summoned the god-defying Tao Tai back and turned it back into the god-defying sword. He looked coldly at the Blood Bat King. The Blood Bat King was extremely shocked. In such a short time, Ling Xiao had killed Venerable Golden Saber and Venerable Golden Sword consecutively. Wasn't this strength a little too overbearing? One had to know that both Venerable Golden Sword and Venerable Golden Saber were martial artists who had consumed the heart of a powerhouse. Their cultivation had reached the early stage of the 7th level of the divine body realm. Although this cultivation was a little weak, their combat strength should be at the peak of the 6th level of the divine body realm. In the end, they were killed just like that, with almost no ability to resist. No wonder Lotus Flower wanted this kid to die. I finally understand now. He's only at the peak of the 3rd level of the divine body realm, and he's already so powerful. If he were to break through again, how terrifying would he be? I'm afraid Lotus Flower would have a headache. The Blood Bat King no longer dared to underestimate Ling Xiao. It could be said that he had completely stopped underestimating him. Kid, you must die today. The Blood Bat King also realized how much trouble this kid in front of him would bring if he continued to live. Therefore, he must not stay. Ling Xiao glanced at the other battlefield. At that moment, Yu Fenghua, Skywalker, and Lord of Fire were fighting fiercely. Skywalker and Lord of Fire were injured, but they probably wouldn't be defeated for a while. After all, their strength was ranked in the top 2 among the 5 people. It wasn't easy for Yu Fenghua to gain the upper hand, so the possibility of her winning in a short time wasn't high. However, it was certain that she could win this battle. When Yu Fenghua completely grasped the power of the 7th level of the divine body realm, it would be the time of death for those 2 fellows. Yu Fenghua had broken through with the help of Ling Xiao's expert advancement pill, but she hadn't fought after that, so she definitely wasn't familiar with this new power. Otherwise, Lord of Fire and Skywalker wouldn't be able to last more than 10 moves against her. You still have time to care about others? Go to hell. The Blood Bat King was furious at Ling Xiao's disregard. He suddenly waved his sharp claws and charged toward Ling Xiao. Demonic Bull Fist. Facing the powerful Blood Bat King, Ling Xiao didn't have any intention of retreating. He knew very well why he was here today. He wanted to use these fellows to advance his cultivation. Fighting force with force was the fastest way to advance. Boom! The sharp claws clashed with the hand of eternal life, and the underground cave shook violently again. A large amount of soil fell from the cave walls. Some places even collapsed. Without any technique, Ling Xiao was obviously inferior to his opponent in a clash of pure strength. With this clash, the Blood Bat King only took 1 step back. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, took more than 10 steps back. However, Ling Xiao relied on his strong defense and wasn't injured, but the Blood Bat King's claws were trembling slightly. Ling Xiao's strength was indeed inferior to his opponent, but his hand of eternal life was an emperor weapon with 10 dragon patterns. His opponent's finger glove was only an emperor weapon with 9 dragon patterns. Therefore, the Bloodbat King was at a disadvantage. Hee, kid, you dare to be so impudent with this little strength? Even if those trash are killed, you still have to die. This clash gave the Bloodbat King a great deal of confidence. Ling Zhao's expression was as calm as ever, and he laughed softly. Your sworn brother, the Ice Corpse King, thought the same at the beginning, but he was the one who died in the end, not me. You're not allowed to mention my sworn brother. You must have used some despicable method to kill him. I will avenge him. The Bloodbat King's fury soared to the heavens. Suddenly, a blood-red aura appeared on the 2 claws, completely enveloping them. That aura was like a murderous demon king that had walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. It was exceptionally terrifying. In terms of killing intent, you're inferior to me. The crimson blood demon sword in Ling Zhao's right hand suddenly released an even more terrifying killing intent. The underground cave seemed to have turned into a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. That killing intent made even the Bloodbat King tremble. Fupin Chinese that you're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.